Call a special meeting of the Paradise Irrigation District to order at 5:34. We have one of those. But no, this is the last time. Okay, a roll call, please.
Director Corolla?
Here.
Vice President Hunt?
Here.
President Duncan?
Here.
Director Flesher?
Here.
Director Kellogg?
Here. Okay, I don't see any public, so I won't read the statement. We're going to go into closed session concerning labor negotiations. It was given to the negotiators. There's nothing else to report. You get that, Georgiana? Direction was given to the negotiators and nothing else to report. At 6:30 p.m., please stand with me and pledge allegiance to the flag. Right over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Director Corolla?
Here.
Vice President Hunt?
Here.
President Duncan?
Here.
Director Flesher?
Here.
Director Kellogg?
Okay, does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Wait. What do you want? You want to remove something?
Yes, item B.
Item B, okay. Anyone else?
Is the buying of the trucks in the consent calendar, or it's separate, isn't it?
It's separate.
It's separate.
Separate.
It's
No, I
separate.
don't have any.
Okay, I entertain a motion with B excluded.
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar with the exclusion of item B as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Anyone in the audience wish to talk to anything on the consent calendar? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Passes 5-0. Okay. Public participation. Individuals will be given an opportunity to address the board regarding matters not scheduled on the agenda. Although the board cannot take action on any matter not on the agenda, comments will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Opportunity for public input will be allowed on agenda items as we discuss them by the board. Is there anyone who'd like to speak to something about that isn't on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. No old business, new business. First thing is Paradise Lake regulations. Did you want to speak to that, George?
Which one?
Paradise Lake, the dog.
Are you doing that one first?
Should we do some? It's on the first one. Did you want to do something else?
Well, I didn't know if you were going to do what came
2B.
off the consent calendar first.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're
We can
right.
do that later. We'll do this.
Okay.
So you've seen the request from the member of the public. This was discussed at the Lake Committee last week about allowing dogs at Paradise Lake. It would be a big change to what we're doing. I've cited some concerns that were discussed at the meeting. One part that was left out, I guess, was the committee not only rejected the suggestion, but they did support the idea of having a dog day event annually that the board would approve, or some type of dog day event that was advertised and would allow dogs at that one certain day. But beyond that, the general consensus from staff is it could cause a lot of issues for staff that have plenty of issues to deal with already, and it could cause a lot of difficulties. And with that, I'll let the committee follow up on what the committee talked about or recommended.
Does the board have any questions on this item? To the staff?
Is there people in the audience
Well,
supporting this?
we're going to do audience next.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just curious. I think the basic thing is we've got drinking water, and hopefully everybody worms their dogs and takes good care of them, so that there isn't any potential problem with pollution to a drinking water lake. It's our primary reservoir, and the reason dogs aren't allowed now is just that simple.
Anyone else?
Is there any California regulation about drinking water, dogs, anything that?
No, there is nothing that we can't deal with. There's no regulation that
Okay.
we can rely on that the state says no.
Okay.
And the proposal is that they don't go in the water. But again, that's my point about staff, impacts to staff. We have one person full-time, we got one person part-time. People aren't supposed to go in the water, and they go in the water, and he has to deal with it. It's just one more thing that is just going to cause additional effort for that one person.
Well, and then are there not liability exposures that we might be brought in to defend if somebody's dog attacks somebody else who's strolling around the lake and they look to PID to repair their torn flesh? And
Well, if we have a permit process for the dogs, we might be able to mitigate that to some extent, but whether that would be helpful is a Dustin question.
There's no piece,
This
I
was
think
more of a
Dustin would agree,
question
there's
for
no
Dustin.
document that
When
says,
accidents happen, the district's always going to be sued. It's
yeah.
Deep pockets.
Doesn't matter what you signed up front.
right.
Okay, anyone in the public like to speak to this item? Okay, I'll let
Thank
him
you,
do it.
President Duncan and Ward Habriel. On behalf of myself, and I'll repeat some feedback I've received about this agenda item, that you would vote no on this. Last 2 months during the council meeting at Town of Paradise, 2 people have spoke on the problem of finding ordinary places for the public to go that is lined or inundated with dog feces and no way to police it. This is a very similar situation. It takes an awful lot of staff time to get people to understand that they have to pick up after their dogs, because you got to be there when it happens. And nobody in anybody's staff wants to do that. I have a personal experience, and people have spoken about this before, that when you see somebody whose dog has just defecated and you say something like, over there is the standard where you get a pickup bag, they will use 4-letter words to tell you where to go. Most people that have dogs like that don't manage the excrement. They just don't care. I would foresee the same kind of a problem at the lake. Just having heard about it, I would also be against a single day of adventure for dogs at the lake. It's enough trouble to educate some people that they're not supposed to be in the water. You ain't going to train a dog that way. Dogs love to get off leash. They see water, they love to get in it. Frankly, I think that's a bad idea. And I would hope that you would not support this. Either way, thank you.
Give your name and
Debbie Gagne. I've lived up by Paradise Lake for over 37 years. I have a lot of experience being around the lake. I also have a lot of experience being on the local dog trails, and I'm not sure where he walks, but I have seen myself walking on Memorial Trail that has been very successful. They used to have a band at Paradise at Billy Park, and the Billy Park lifted the no dogs, and dogs are allowed at Billy Park now, and there seems to be no problem. I go there with my grandkids. They never have any problem with excrements. I think it's like anything. There's always going to be someone who doesn't obey the law. I mean, I live by the lake. I watch fishermen pee off their boats. I watch people dump things. I walk around the lake and pick things up. But I don't think that's the reason that you discourage your community from using a beautiful place that is a safe. That's one of the most important things for me. I used to walk my dog quite a bit up back on Dune Grade and up there. I can't do that anymore. There are people with guns. It's very scary. And I know that the lake is safe. I ride my bike on the lake. I don't see a problem. Bikes actually pick up a lot of dust. Dogs aren't running. They're on a leash. You have a law, just like you do for any other particular thing that you have a law for. If someone breaks it, there's a fine. I even, I think in my initial letter, suggested, as I talked to many people who are responsible dog owners, they wouldn't even mind paying, just like the fishermen pay to park their car, to pay a fee, which could help the lake, and I'm sure they can always use more income. And again, my experience is most people are responsible dog owners. There are going to be exceptions. There are exceptions in every single thing. But hopefully decisions aren't made and laws aren't made for the exceptions. They're made for what is the general outlook for the best of the community. Paradise Lake is a beautiful place. I'd like to see more people walking around it and using it. You can't fish there all the time anyway. I also, if the concern is dogs in the water, I think it's very specific that there's a leash law, just like there is in all the other areas. And just last week, I saw some great deer swimming in our drinking water, and bears, and I'm sure that they don't wait to go out of the water to excrement. The water is filtered anyway. That's not the point. The point is that we're not using the lake for our dogs to go swimming. There's places for that to happen. We're just looking for a nice place where we can take a mile or so walk with our animals and enjoy the beauty of our community so that we're not restricted just to the Memorial Trail or just to Billy Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak to it?
Good evening, Warren Harvey. Two things. She seems like a really nice lady, and she seems like a really responsible dog owner. But what do we do with the labs that love water and they jump in? What do we do with them? And every trail that you go on is abused by folks with dogs who don't pick the stuff up, and I don't see why we should encumber PID with another responsibility, because if the two or three that leave their mess on the trail, that's going to become unattractive for those who use it for biking and running and other things, and I just don't see the necessity to take on an extra responsibility. I'm not worried about them going in the water, but I am concerned over the labs and stuff that like the water who will just naturally jump in. What's the owner do then? Do we throw a rope around it and lasso it if it doesn't want to come back? How do we get it out? Or do we allow that person to go in the water and get it? I mean, how do we handle that? So I'm not in favor of it.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to it?
Hey, I'm just Janet Hall, just a resident. Maybe a volunteer program could be implemented somehow, and you could have people patrol or watch or something like that. But I agree with Debbie. I think it's a beautiful area, and I think we should be able to walk our dogs, cats, whatever, as long as they're on a leash.
Cats don't work too good on leashes. At least mine never did.
It's been on programs before.
Right.
Anyway.
Thank you. Anyone else? Is there any more discussion? The board wish to say anything more? I'm on the lake committee, and the thing that we came up with was that it was sort of figured that half the people follow the rules and half don't. And unfortunately, because of that, the half that follow the rules are the ones who are denied being able to do it. The gentleman who takes care of the lake, he didn't say he was against it or not, but I asked him, do you have extra time to do this? And he said, no, he didn't. And he's quite busy. And so adding another duty to him would be very hard. And so I myself personally, I was against the annual and the dog, because I think what we're doing is, we're not making money on the lake right now. And so this could add more to our costs. And we're doing better, but right now our ratepayers are subsidizing the cost of protecting the lake right now. And so I think we don't want to increase it anymore. Anyone else wish to speak?
I'm on the Lake Committee also with Larry and a very good group of citizens at Bibber, and I actually had 3 phone calls on this one. I don't know if it was because of Trevor's article in the paper or whatever it was, because I had one before, and the 3 constituents wanted the rules to stay exactly the same. And then I go to coffee at a couple places around town, and I've been doing that for quite a number of years. And when I'm at my coffees, I never mention the PID. I always wait for somebody else to mention it, you know. And they were talking about this dog issue. And there wasn't one person at the 2 different coffees that I were at that wanted to see us change the rules because of all this stuff. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to vote no to remain the same rules.
Yeah. If we're going to remain the same, we don't have to do anything, correct?
Yeah, technically not.
Technically not. Would the staff feel good to having a motion?
It's probably best to have a motion.
Best to have one? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Being a member of the Lake Committee and knowing this was discussed there and some of the feelings of the people, I move that we do not alter the rules pertaining to dogs at Paradise Lake.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion with the public? Directors?
Can I just say one other?
Yes, yes.
Do any of you ever walk the flumes?
What? Oh, the
flumes.
No,
I walk the flumes regularly with many, many dog people. And there's no one patrolling there. And I have never run into the problem of dogs fighting, of excrements on the flumes. They're beautiful. So you can make your decision, but I really, I just want you to recognize that it's not half the people who are irresponsible who are dog owners. I really think that most people are responsible dog owners. And luckily, there is no law that says you can't walk your dogs on the flume. That is a beautiful place to walk. But I just wanted to let you know that the flumes are beautiful and no one takes care of them except us, the people who walk on them.
And they're off leash there also.
And they're off leash, they're not even on leash, and they don't go to the flume.
The only thing I've heard about the flume is people falling off of it or falling into it or something. That's all I've ever heard. I've never been on it myself.
One of the members of our Lake Committee is the head forester for the SPI, Southern Pacific Industries, and for bicycling and walking and everything else, you don't even have to have your dog on a leash. Their trails are wide open, even though they're gates so we can't drive on them, but because of people tearing it up the road. So there's miles up there that you can walk dogs. And if they tuck a dump, I was going to say I'm a dog person, all right? Most of you wouldn't even have to worry about maybe kicking off to the side because there's not anybody to come along and will step in it, like around our lake. You know. So, have you ever walked SPI trails?
What are you speaking of?
Sierra Pacific.
Sierra Pacific.
No, I have. Oh, wait, the railroad? The old railroad track? I've done.
Well, some of that's on SPI and some of it isn't. But, you know, most of our watershed is owned by SPI or the U.S. Forest Service. And even though they block off the spurs where they've logged in, that we go in with our four-wheelers and all this, they welcome day walking and picnicking and bicycling and even horseback riding, you know, but no motorized vehicles. And there's some beautiful trails. I used to run those all the time, and in fact, there's a book on that now.
Yeah, those are some of the ones where I have run into bullet shells and sounds of guns, and the people who shoot turkeys are out there. People who are doing illegal grows are out there. It's a dangerous place for a single female to go, even with a dog, personally. I mean,
I can understand that.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes 5-0. Okay, the next item, we'll go back to the B. Approval to authorize labor, reinstall the diesel particulate filter system on 3 John Deere tractors, or backhoes. You wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions I wanted on that. As you're aware, part of my career, I'm into some of this type of stuff. And if it's all right, I'll put my comments to Keith. Well done here. Keith, is this to accommodate the OH, Occupational Safe and Healthy Act, because there's visibility problems? Or is this because they're vertical and they're not doing the particulate removal like they should?
Yes.
Which one?
The latter.
The latter.
Okay, the latter. Well, you know that you don't need to be certified to fix off-road vehicles. You're aware of that?
Okay.
You don't have to. On the road, you have to. In fact, there is a ruling out now that they got it all on hold, because we got 125 batteries out of Butte College that fall in this category, and because the state doesn't want to do with it. They've opened up a can of worms like they can't believe, and so they're waiting for some things. This is what I've been told by reliable sources on here. But have one of our mechanics thought about fixing that? And it may not be a big savings. I don't know. I haven't had time to check it out. Maybe you have. Well, because one of our mechanics, and I'm sure as qualified as the ones that I used to know, all you have to do is go look at one and copy it. If he couldn't fabricate the box that's on the side here, he can have that fabricated at Kent's Hitch and Welding or down at Chico and covered up.
You got to keep in mind, these were put on for a particular purpose to meet air quality rules.
I realize that.
By utilizing this company to do the alteration, then this alteration's been approved by the state as they designed it, as they will install it, and we don't have to worry about not meeting those regulations.
Well, see, it looks like to me, George, that they installed them properly when we bought them.
Well, it's not an improper installation. You weren't here at the time, but we got a grant that paid for 75% of the cost of all of this piece of equipment, paid for us to maintain them going forward. This was the first generation that was approved by the state. So it wasn't installed properly. It was probably not thought well through in design.
And I don't think they understood how the filter worked. It was an easy way to put it on.
But at any rate, copying the fix, we may have the technical capability to do that, but to do it and know that we're continuing to meet regulations, I can't recommend that.
Well, can we look into the regulations if they're not being enforced or they're in limbo because of problems? Can we just have the staff look into it before we spend all this money on this? If it's possible not to do it, or to do what Doug's talking about? I have no idea, but I also know that state regulations sometimes change rather rapidly when there's a lot of political pressure.
As I understand it, this is coming from the horse's mouth to the state, okay? On off-road vehicles, they put all this on hold. But rolling vehicles, they have to be certified to put it on. It has to be a certified mechanic.
My understanding is it was on hold for the private industry, but not.
Now, that may be.
Not public.
But I'm talking about Butte College on this one, is what I'm talking about. We had to go to the buses, and they installed some of them, and then all of a sudden the state came up where that they had to be certified. And it doubled the cost of changing over. In fact, we got one tractor trailer down there now. The truck's worth $30,000, and to put a particle remover on that would meet this is $50,000. So naturally, they're not going to do it. They're going to hopefully get the same way. But anyway, no. So if we need to do this, fine. I just wanted to know in that particular one, But it's not rocket science. It's kind of like building up here at the new building, George. It's exactly the same thing.
I'm not saying we're not capable physically of making the fix. but one was the state regulation, the other is safety measures in these pieces of equipment. Anytime you alter them, I don't want to be in that chain of responsibility for altering the sight lines, the view, anything. And that was one of the big challenges when we were trying to retrofit. Not only coming up with a correct retrofit, but where's it going to go? They've got issues with cabs catching on fire with some of them because they put them up here where it gets too hot. I just, we can look into it and bring it back to you. We don't have to do it right now, so I recommend
I would
we
think
table
that'd be
it.
a wise move because we could be talking about double the cost, And unless somebody looks into it. Now, the Bobcat, Keith, this thing is on the top, isn't it?
The Bobcat and the loader are both on the top.
They're both on the
horizontal orientation.
horizontal on the top, sitting on top of the roll cage.
If you don't mind me saying, George, there's a considerable amount of fabrication and moving of components underneath the chassis of the backhoe because there's so many encumbrances on the outside of moving articulating parts.
Yes.
I think for staff to do that, certainly we could be a considerable amount of time taken away from other items that we're trying to accomplish with the water system alone. And we have 3 of these that are very problematic.
And one mechanic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I just
Besides all the other maintenance he has to do on all the other vehicles. Not
If we
counting
didn't do this, do we have to quit using them?
The problem is that we're losing a lot of downtime in here. These things are in a vertical orientation. There's a glow plug in there. They won't burn off because the glow plug gets saturated. They don't burn off, and then they get packed with the particulate matter. Then we have to completely remove them. When you remove them, the machine is down. It is non-usable. We have to take that down at an expense. We have to get that cleaned out, emptied out, burned out, brought back, reinstalled, and then they'll run again for a period of time. And then they start having the problem again. They don't burn off, and you can only override it. I don't know. There's a number of times that you can override it before it plugs, and then it's done. If you do that too many times, then you're buying a new filter. And I believe we bought 2 or 3 new filters already to replace that. So we're spending money just replacing or putting a Band-Aid on, and we're losing downtime, and we're taking a mechanic away from other duties, trying to just keep this equipment running. When we are down one backhoe, and we're working on one project, and we have an emergency, we have to really scramble and come up with ways to get into that emergency because we may have 1 or 2 backhoes down. We have 4 backhoes. We have one with a thumb. That one is great for its purpose, but we can't really use that in some instances because the thumb gets in the way of excavating, right?
Yeah, I understand.
In certain situations. So it's a challenge that way, and that's really our push to get these done. And it's very time consuming for the contractor who would be installing this. It's actually a pretty long process for them. It would be very long for us to do that. Not that we couldn't, and we could do a great job. Clint's an awesome fabricator and a very good mechanic. But we're talking about time, and we're talking about need to do this. We need to keep these machines running.
In other words, we might be a penny
looking at
wise and a pound foolish is what you're saying.
It's not the certification, it's
It's,
you
I'm
getting it to
saying
work right.
We might be a penny wise and a pound foolish is what you're saying,
Yes, sir.
as far as cost is concerned.
Yes, sir.
Now, the one with the thumb, does that have a vertical audit, or how is it? Because we're only doing 3.
That's a cat, and it is not required to have a particulate filter.
Okay, good.
Okay, I entertain
The
a
rest of them
motion.
are John Deere's.
The
310s.
3 John Deere's that we got
310s.
into the grant that George mentioned. And that was generation 1 with that. And this was a trial kind of thing. Yeah, it works on paper, so let's put it together.
As George mentioned, I wasn't on the board at the time, but is that when we replaced those backhoes and we had to break the blocks hold and all that kind of stuff in it?
Yeah.
To get the grant, yeah.
That's exactly.
And they were very low-hour machines, as I understand.
Well, they weren't low-hourred, but they weren't junk.
Well, 1 hour of equipment operations is equal to 40 miles if you were out the road with it. That's kind of a rule of thumb, so. Case in point. I'm ready to approve that.
I entertain a motion.
I'll move that we, yes, wait.
Do you want to speak to that? Okay.
Good evening, Lauren Harvey again. I fabricate quite a bit of stuff, and I can tell you there's a big difference between fabricating something from scratch, putting it on, and a mechanic that repairs it. That's one, but the reason why I rose up is because that's pretty obvious, but the reason I rose up is I was just wondering, is there any kind of warranty from the first smog device we put on them? Is there any kind of rebate we could get to help with that to put the new one on? And I am in favor of the company putting them on, not us.
I asked that, and it's been too long.
Okay, thank you.
I asked that also.
Yeah, you did too.
I authorized,
I move that we approve the item B under the consent agenda.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Passes 5-0. Okay, now we'll go on to 4B. Liability claim.
5B?
Oh, yes, I've crossed it, yeah. 5B. A liability claim for water damage expenses. Mr. Barber?
Yes, you've got a memo in your packet from Keith explaining the process that went on and what happened, as well as claim information and backup information. Our employees take great care and pride in returning water lines to service correctly. You can't fix everything, you can't make it all perfect, but they do a very good job, and they did everything probably over and above what the industry standard is. It's not clear in there, but we're recommending a rejection of this claim. It's hard for us and me to imagine that regardless of what happened, you've got a half-inch water line that connects to a toilet, and what kind of pressure or force or anything that we could have done that would have actually caused a toilet to move, because the seal at the bottom has nothing to do with the connection of the water system. So with that, I'll let you ask any questions you may have.
Okay. Let's hear, is there anybody here who wants to speak to this? No?
The district's insurance provider is recommending you deny the claim, correct?
Yes.
Right. But there's nobody here that put this claim in? Okay. There's a lot of people out there. I thought maybe somebody would be here. Okay, any questions from the board to staff?
Well, I don't have any questions. I asked my questions earlier, but the letter and the claim was very critical about the PID policies and the staff and the way that this was repaired, and I think unjustly so. And I just want to make sure that people understand if we cause a problem, we're going to fix it. We always stand up for those things. We did not cause a problem at the base of a toilet. The only water pressure that ever goes through there to where the beeswax seal is the 1.0 gallons of water. Is it that much anymore?
When you flush.
1.6. It seems like it's not very much. That releases when you flush the toilet. And then when the reserve tank refills through a little bitty pinhole, there's a small amount of water that goes into a toilet to fill it up. I've experienced toilets that have a lot of water pressure to them, and they make a noise when the water is flowing in. It's just too loud. So if you put a pressure adjuster on your home, if that's the requirement, but to have a surge of air come through, maybe it'll splash water one time out of the back of a toilet tank, although all the ones I have in my house have lids. So the basis of the rejection is that it's just physically impossible for the burps of the air coming back through the system to cause this type of damage. And our insurance carrier agrees with it. I agree with it. And I just wanted to make sure that the public knows we're not just taking a cavalier attitude and not paying a claim here. And it has a basis in rejection.
And also, too, for the public, if we do deny the claim, it doesn't end it for them. They still have a choice of going to court if they want to, right? Us denying it does not jeopardize any of their
It just
rights.
transmits it over to our insurance carrier to deal with it.
Right. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make one comment.
Okay.
I've done quite a bit of plumbing. In fact, I almost worked a apprenticeship out that I was a CB in the Navy and did a lot of plumbing there of all sizes. And I'd like to compliment Keith O'Brien, distributed to the superintendent, on the letter on page 43. He had everything on the nail head. And Director Hunt backed it up. There's no way that this could cause the problem. You know, I have my water shut off and on, and does the person have a pressure regulator? Do they have a pressure regulator in their system?
In the system?
Pressure, the
Regulator?
yeah.
We have many of them.
Yeah, I know, but do they have one where?
Most people do.
Oh, yeah, in Paradise, you have to have a pressure regulator. I have 5 of them in my place. But anyway, as you stated so adequately in here, and Ken backed up, at the base of the toilet, there's no way that caused the damage. Unless it had been, no, it just couldn't.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion
I move we reject the claim.
and figure the rest, say the rest is in the agenda.
Is there more stuff in the agenda?
Denying the claim and approving a letter of merit rejection for submittal to HCWA, Joint Powers Insurance Authority, to handle and...
No, I don't want to approve
You wanna do
a
that,
letter to the...
You have to.
You have to.
Aqua JPIA requires that.
All right.
Requires it. Our insurance agent. Are you
It
going to add
gives
that
you
to it?
a short statute of limitations.
Okay. I move we deny the claim and approve a letter of merit rejection for submittal to Aqua Joint Powers Insurance Authority to handle and respond.
Second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Anyone in the audience? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay. Item D, conflict of interest question. Director Kellogg.
Actually, C, procurement.
Oh, did I skip one? Oh, boy, I'm doing bad.
We're in a hurry tonight.
I am. I'm trying to get through here. Huh? Okay, C, I'm sorry. Procurement policy. Chapter 12 of PID rules and regulations. Manager Barber.
Not really much to introduce. This was a item of request from Director Kellogg, so I would defer to him. And also, just for clarification, Director Flesher had some thoughts on this that he was actually came to present as an item for the agenda. We discussed that it all falls under the same policy, so he's got some information in the packet as well, so he may want to speak to it as well. We also had a committee review that reviewed this policy as well, so you may start with the committee. Director Kellogg, Director Flesher, it's your pleasure, Mr. President.
Okay, Bill, would you like to tell us your desires?
Let's see. It's on page 78.
Uh-huh.
It said authorization amounts without prior board approval are as follows: approval management staff up to 1,500. District is up to managers is 5,000. Change to 1,500. Change the approval on staff to 500. And excluding travel, which has to be approved by the board of directors. That's basically what I wanted to recommend on it. The other thing was the purchase of goods and services, which falls in the same area, 12.22. What I read there, if we have any contract or purchase exceeds $3,000, the contract shall be awarded through a competitive bidding or proposal process. At a minimum, the district shall give consideration to the bidders to provide, and it just goes on. I didn't put it all. These are emails. And then on September second, that was any rate. And how did we get a contract approved without a vote of the board? We voted for it, but I think we voted for, at least I did, under a misunderstanding. I didn't realize that in 12.22, it called, the district's bylaws call for competitive bidding for anything over $3,000. And this was $1 million contract. So as far as I'm concerned, I made a mistake. And I think the board made a mistake, that this should be reviewed and possibly put out to bid. It's the largest contract since I've been on the board. It's been awarded to any engineering firm, and it's without any, from my understanding, any kind of competitive bidding, which is in our bylaws. Now, I understand from talking to Dustin that it's all right by state laws, evidently. Is that right, Dustin?
It's correct. As long as you're not using, well, there's two things. Remember, on a public works project, you only have to competitively bid when you're using the proceeds of bonds or a special assessment. When it's not a public works contract, there's really no limitations. You don't have to competitively bid, but as a matter of practice, it's generally a good idea.
So the generally good idea, I think, is what we should do under it. That's why when I saw this, I started these series of emails. The purchase of goods and services, this came up in part because of the travel thing. It wasn't that travel wasn't illegal. It didn't violate any rules in the district. It was simply that it was hidden. And if a question was asked, then it came out. But it was not, the board members were never told that George and Kevin were going along with Ken. That came out because Ken talking, and I asked him who was we, and then it came out. So I'm going, how many other instances has we had the general manager spend up to $5,000 and not bothered to tell the board about it in whatever process it was? So I think that, to me, that's breaking trust. I do a lot of business, almost all my business with farmers is, in fact, I was talking to a fellow today about it on the phone, who's been in the seed business 30 years. It's all verbal contracts. There's no written contracts. It's on our word. And so I'm going, why can't George simply explain to us or make a note to explain? The other one was, one day I asked George about these new chairs, and his answer, well, it wasn't $5,000. I said, well, how much was it? Kevin later on gave me a figure on it.
Wasn't my exact answer.
Huh?
It wasn't that was my only answer. Out came after a further explanation of why the chairs were purchased.
Yeah, but what my point is, George, explain it to the board. Just in your general manager's report, say, well, I bought so many chairs because this. Or Kevin and I are going with the trip with Ken. And I don't think there'd be any problem. The problem that is opened is, have you done this with other things without telling us? And we've never known the difference. Because we wouldn't have known the difference here, actually, on the trip even.
Actually, you would have known the difference. Number one, let me just clarify. It was not brought up because the director's making a request to get training. So our decision to go to that training may have impacted the board one way or the other. Could have made them want us to go, could have made us not, but it was a director's request to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we both felt it was appropriate to stay out of it and not try and bend it one way or the other. We have a policy that when that travel was completed, you would get a report, my general manager's report, Kevin's report about the conference, the cost of the conference, and what we learned. So you would have heard about it. Every single thing that we purchase, every expense that is happening in this district, one way, shape, or form, goes through this board. There's no secrets, there's no hiding, there's no nothing.
Do we not see most of that through the check register? Or just
See
on
all of it.
All of it.
Yeah. But I mean, we might not see it the month that it happens, but we see it the following month. So it's, you might have went in July, but we don't see it till August because that's when the bill came in for it or
You get my
whatever.
report before you can see the bill in some cases.
Okay,
Okay.
well, so what do you want to do, Bill? Do you want to make a motion?
Just for a second,
The committee
Well, I
met.
really don't want to make a motion. I'd rather have the board talk about it and make suggestions, their own ideas and so forth about it. To me, it's a matter of trust. It's not a matter of the regulations. It's not a matter of a report coming back later on. It's a matter of being informed before it happens or as it's happening in the general manager's report. That's all the thing is. Because to me, the way I do business with people, this is a matter of trust. It's a matter of explanation. Otherwise, it's hidden until we see the check register, or if we happen to ask him about the check registers, like Ken lately is not looking at the check register, and he's always been very good at asking all these questions about it in the past. I sort of missed that. But we'd have to catch it in the check register and ask, what was the money spent?
Okay.
That's because we do not run the day-to-day operations of the district. That's not our
Set
charge.
policies, we don't.
We set policy. We hire a manager. He hires managers. They hire workers. That's how it works. And I know that you have, Bill, have expressed a desire to have all of the purchase orders come to the board prior to ever approving an expense and a purchase. And we cannot
Let me interrupt you there.
run the
I don't
district.
have that desire.
Not any longer?
No,
Okay.
never did.
Yes, you did. You
No.
said you don't want him to spend $1
I want him to tell us about spending it before he spends
and...
it. That's all.
It's hard for,
Okay,
I
well,
would
if
say
you want to
that's,
revise it that way now, that's fine. The other thing about this $1 million contract, Bill, don't say you didn't know what was going on. We had lengthy discussions of why we only went out to this one professional contractor, the engineering firm. We beat that dead horse over and over and over before we ever got around to voting on it.
No, I understand that, and I voted for it. and I
But
said
you're
I made a
telling the
mistake.
public...
I made a mistake until I put this in, and Georgiana sent me a copy of the
But
policy.
it's in the
And I'm
manual.
reading through the policy 12.22, and it says this thing about anything over $3,000,
Okay.
contract or otherwise, needs bids.
And read
that's
further.
the district's policy. That is
Further,
anything.
read further in the district's
There are
policy,
exceptions to that.
where it says, except if you have professional contract, you may elect to do this. Don't just give the public half the story, Bill. It's in the district, it's in our policy manual, otherwise we'd have been stopped dead at this last meeting before we voted on this. And we need to let the public know
I
that
honestly
the
think
section's there.
if we'd gone to bid on it, we'd probably have saved the district a lot of money. I'm not the man that was selected in his engineering company. I have no complaints about them. I think they're competent and can do the work. Just the complaint about it is the way we went about it, and we broke our own, as far as I'm concerned, our own regulations.
But we did not, and that's what I want to say, is that we did not break our own regulations because they're in our policy and procedures manual.
I'd like Bill to clarify which contract it is that we're talking about to the public.
This is the one for the $1 million for the planning.
It was the engineering.
Engineering.
To AECom?
Yeah.
So when we had 3 firms here and we chose one, was that based on their best guess estimates of what the job was going to cost? Was that not a selection process?
No, because it didn't concern this particular contract. That was on a small contract for $25,000, which they completed.
Right.
That was not anything to do with the $1 million contract.
Well, it did. It was a continuation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
The
mean,
contract was awarded and fulfilled and gone before we agreed to
I
this.
know that, but the reason we picked the company that we did
No, I
was
understand.
because of what they did with the
But
other one.
that doesn't excuse us for not going out to bid with our own bylaw.
Well, but it's
Our
what-
bylaws
there's an
excuse us,
exception.
give us the authority to
There's
do
an
that.
exception that allows us to do that.
Can you find it for us?
Yeah, I read it
It's in the
today.
minutes, actually.
It's in the minutes. I read it.
Okay.
There's an exception. That
Like what,
it's a
Ken?
continuation of a project.
Exception in our policies.
A continuation of a
12.43A.
project that was finished. If that's what you're saying.
No,
if it's a
It talks about engineering
continuation of
services, getting a
AECOM's
statement of
original
qualifications.
contract.
That project's far from finished, so
It's a long way.
definite.
No, I mean the contract that the 3 selections. were for.
Contract may have been finished, but the project isn't.
No, the project wasn't, but the project engineering part is, I'm saying, for $1 million plus,
Right.
didn't go to bid.
Okay, well, so you don't want to make a motion then? You don't want to change any of our policies?
No, I want to, I would,
12.4.7.
no, because I want the discussion which we're getting.
12.4.7.
And I'd like the
Selection
public
method.
to be able to talk about it too. But no, I'm not proposing any motion. It doesn't say any, it says action may be taken to change bylaws.
Well, you,
I actually, after talking to Doug about his proposal, I will support Doug's proposal.
okay, I don't know what is this.
Because I think it's actually a better proposal.
83.
Well, remember that the
Why is it informational?
committee met on it.
See, I think his proposal is much better.
No, I did not, well, I'll talk, Larry, for a moment, please.
Okay.
I knew that Bill was doing something, but I didn't know what, and I didn't want to do anything, and I came up with this one myself, because I've done this at other boards and stuff that I've been on, and I'm talking about what I put down on iPad, page 83. You want to bring that up on the wall, so people can see it? Kind of a old country boy's way of saying it. I really believe that we are the bending forks of the road now. This is kind of a, we got pages of bull splatter here that really goes into detail. You'll notice mine just says it as it is, and very frankly, and I've helped work this on at least 4 different organizations that have been at the bending forks of the road. We can go down the right road or we can go down the wrong road. Now, if you want to go to page 15 on this year's budget, that's a pretty good example of what I'm talking about, and we're getting ready to spend, which I am in favor of, I might add, another $12 million for this water treatment plant. We're kind of mandated to do that, and I've done quite a bit of study on it, thanks to Bill and Jim and George, and some on Kevin on here, and I've actually traveled and looked at different situations, so that I'm comfortable that we're on the right road. It just costs lots of money to do things. But we need to make some real decisions. And one of the things that we need to do is really watch our spending, cash flow. And I'm not going to tell you names or people or anything else, but I've worked on 2 or 3 of them. And at this stage of our existence, because we're going to wind up $20 million plus in debt. I think that's $2,000 per meter if we wrote a check out and paid it. 10,000 meters, $20 million. Kevin, I haven't asked you this question. $2,000, right? Now that doesn't put 1 cent in for operating the outfit. And we've been deficit spending, according to Ken, on our capital outlay since 2009. All you got to do is look at the budget here, and it's well put together.
We've been using our reserve, but we haven't.
That's reserve.
We haven't been deficit.
No, any time that you use reserves, you're deficit spending.
According to Doug.
According to me.
Yeah, not according to.
Not according to Webster.
Not according to accountant.
I can take you down to Chico and introduce you to some of my friends. I'm a conservative. I'm a moderate conservative, which means I like to make money. I was working all day today, and I like to spend money on the right things. And it's exactly the same thing at all the boards and stuff that I've been on. But I have some friends that are liberals, left-leaning liberals. And there's one in particular, very influential in our particular community, involved with Chico. And he said, Doug, when we had $15 million in reserves, I didn't see how we could spend it all. Well, the rest is history on this type of a thing. Look at page 15, okay? That's all I say on here. Now, what I think we need to do, and this is just information, and you go to the committee and whatever we want on here, we've got 2 categories. I haven't talked to Kevin on this because I didn't have time to get up there. We have fixed costs, and that's where we have no control. IRS, PG&E, a whole bunch of things. And most of our budget back here is in that particular category, okay? And it says right here, pretty expensive. That's on the wall up here. And what I call variable costs, and that's the things that make it run, and that's where George's $5,000 comes in, primarily. I don't think we should have that $5,000. I think that George and Kevin, if we pass the budget, they should bring it to us and spend it, right? But now Dustin disagrees with that because he likes the $5,000 because he really doesn't completely trust you because you're going to take that $5,000 and go buy a gold computer. That's what you said, wasn't it, Dustin?
You're going to have to explain yourself.
Something to that type. Now I'll tell you,
We would see the bill for the gold computer, though.
Old George is smart enough to figure out how to buy that gold computer if he wanted to. And I have a lot of respect for George. Okay, now, So the variable cost, and that we would approve after they happen. I mean, in others will be before we approve it, okay? Now, I've seen this work because of the fact I could, several different entities, a fairgrounds, a school district, a couple of nonprofits. Because if you'll read on, I think it's page 15, Kevin said one of the ways that we can do it is cut expenses, right, Kevin? To pull us out of this tailspin that we're in. So that's one of the ways of doing it because I see how it works. And it doesn't, you can buy new chairs, all that kind of stuff. Bro. Well, anyway, and all travel in excess of $1,000, and there's several that the trial things here, the water treatment plant's done, for staff, PID staff and directors would be approved by the board of directors at a regular meeting at least 30 days in advance. Now, I know that we've had some of that in the past. Kevin, one time you went back east, and you brought it up, so we approved it ahead of time. If you did.
No, we did not.
He gave us a report on it after he'd been
Report
there.
after the fact.
Was that after the fact?
Yeah, the
Yes.
report of the
Was, when you went down with Bill and he got his great honor, was that before or after the fact?
After the fact.
That was after the fact.
Everything's
okay.
after the fact.
That was after the fact.
Our checks
Because
are-
that's our policy.
That's your point. Good. Well, now, George, here's the good old editorial, okay? And when I went through that meeting, and I found out the second time, after he kept saying we, that you guys were going to go, you know, I was disappointed. I really was. I was extremely disappointed. Myself as a board member and an individual, yet a human, okay? I was disappointed. Now, these coffees that I talk about, I go to, I haven't received any phone calls on it. But I go to coffees and I never talk PID, I let somebody else start it. There's a couple of guys at the coffees that I've been going to for quite a number of years.
You should invite me.
One of them is a retired CEO of an outfit that would be maybe 5 PID. That's how big, you know, down in the Bay Area. And he said, you know what I thought when I read this? Your general manager and your CFO doesn't really think that it's any of this board's business of what you're doing. That's the perception. Now, that's not my perception. That is the perception, and this states it quite well. You know, so I was just disappointed. That's all I was. Because I would have thought that you would have said something real quick.
I've worked for a lot of big companies, and I never had a CFO or a CEO tell me that they were going to go to and I was the accountant. They never told me where they were going and how much it was going to cost.
Yeah,
if I had to find it out, I got when I paid the bill.
But if they were working for the board, I'll bet you the board would know.
If they were a big company, they were working for a board.
Never mind.
They work for a board.
I'm in favor of you going too, Ken, you know. Because if I wasn't so doggone busy thoroughly enjoying myself.
Oh, I could have sworn you voted no.
Then why did
I could have sworn you voted no.
I did because I
It
don't want
was
to
a
spend the
check
money.
manage.
I don't think we need to spend the money. But anyway, go
Okay.
ahead. I'll be quiet. I was disappointed, and there's a lot of people that understand why I was disappointed.
Okay, I'm going to say
Fair
something.
enough.
There was nothing that I was hiding from this board. Nothing that I was hiding from this board, and I want to make that very, very clear to this board. Nothing was said at the time to me. It happened very quickly. I didn't think it was very influential of me either way, if I was going or not. I think it's very important you send your directors to get education. I'm a very high proponent of education, but I don't think it's necessary for me every time that I sign up to go to a class to make sure that it's a public information to all that what's happening. You know, when I go to the class, I'm coming back with information. That I understand. I would love to give that information to the board, but I don't think it's necessary for me to make it clearly known to everybody in the community that I'm going to a class on September 23rd or whenever I'm going to the class. So to me, there was nothing being hidden there. And if I read the editorial and every time in the Paradise Post and that was the gospel, then maybe I would have a different opinion of myself on that. But I just want to make it clear to the board, I am not hiding anything from the board. And this district here is extremely transparent in everything they do. You go down to other districts and ask the board what their travel, who went where for the travel in the last 6 months, and let them tell you what happened. It's not going to happen. This is a very transparent board and a very transparent organization, and there's nothing in this organization that's being hidden from the board.
You know, I agree with you, the transparency, and I compliment the staff and all that all the time. because I think you guys are fantastic. But do you think it was to our, here we were talking and we were giving Ron a bad time about not going, and I voted no on it, because I didn't figure to spend the money. Do you think it was better for him that you didn't say, well, we're going to go on it ourselves?
I have no idea. I didn't think about it.
Quite honestly, your decision shouldn't have been based on whether they were going.
Because I was disappointed. Maybe out of the.
And I'm sorry you're disappointed.
I don't think that.
Nothing underhanded. There was nothing.
Well, that isn't the way that a lot of John Q. citizens sees it, that have had very influential positions and been very professional.
That's fine. Then that's their opinion.
You might want to keep that. You might want to keep that in mind then.
Quite honestly, after being on the board for 5 years, I knew they were going. I didn't even have to ask the question. That was already just part of the deal. They go to that conference all the time, so it's not a surprise. Just like Kevin goes to his training conference, whether it be in Detroit or Texas or wherever he was, he's called us from those locations before you were on the board at 4 o'clock his time in the morning when we're sitting here at 10 o'clock at night and had conference calls with us. So I'm in agreement with Kevin. He does not need to explain everywhere he goes. It's why we hired him. Right there.
You said they've gone to the special districts annual meeting many times?
So they haven't gone to the annual meeting. Not this one, but meetings.
3 years. I do go to Aqua. I
Yeah.
go to Aqua usually.
No, we're a member of Aqua. We're not a member of the special district.
Exactly.
I just wanted to clarify that because I didn't know they had gone to any special.
We shouldn't have been basing our decision. We were basing our decision was whether or not we were sending Director Hunt to get education, not whether or not we were sending George and Kevin as his babysitter. Okay, because that's not what we were charged to do.
I wasn't voting that way either. Even to the last vote, I was just startled. I didn't understand that they were going. I didn't know the information you knew.
The agenda item was: are we sending Director Hunt? Not are we sending George? Are we sending Director Hunt with your knowledge of is George and Kevin going too? If you want that knowledge, that's your responsibility to ask.
Well,
okay. The decision was. Let me finish. The decision was: were we sending Director Hunt to get information so that he can become a better director and bring that back to us? Since I can't go, and you can't go, and Doug's teaching, and Larry's not going. Okay, we had one person that could go, and he will bring back quality information. He does every time.
Okay.
So
we see
let's get back to the policy. Okay.
The policy.
Let's don't talk about something we've already voted on.
well, we're actually on item D is what we're really on. So
We'll get there later. But
Mine was just an informational item.
Right, but you're on. We're talking about procurement policy.
So if I may speak in regard to the procurement policy, the committee met some time ago now, went through it completely. We made a few recommendations, but they're largely all corrective, typographical things that needed to be repaired. I would like to walk you through this quickly. If we can flip through, we've got to find the changes. There's no changes on 64. On page 65, we thought for this little thing, let's just get the all-encompassing as provided in the government code. That's the jurisdiction that we operate under there for that particular policy.
That doesn't change anything as far as getting a gift more than $50.
Correct.
No.
Yeah. It's defining for such purpose as provided in the government code. The next little topic we came up with. Whoa. No. Well, I'm going to come back. I may skip over something and come back to it here in just a moment. I'm going to take care of the easy ones first. Was there anything else here? No, that was it.
There's a highlight in Josh's memo. So 12.1.6 and 12.4.7 auditing services.
Those are the ones.
You had a correction too.
Yeah. And actually, the committee did discuss this. We gave direction to Josh to get it repaired, but it didn't quite get changed appropriately. So what I'll need to do here is, does everybody have this last email?
No.
No. Okay. There's on page 72. We have page 73. We have 12.4.3D, auditing services. And it just tells us what our rules are. I'm not recommending any. Well, we are recommending a change there. Every 3 years as necessary. We think we should say
What is this? 12.4?
12.4.3D like a dog.
Auditing services.
So it's on page 73.
Or it's on your screen right now.
Yeah, so it's paragraph D that
D.
says auditing services.
Okay.
It will make it clearer if we replace the word necessary with the word required every 3 years as required under 13.2B, which is something about the auditors, and I can read to you what that says later on. Mm-hmm. But we need to change that one additional word here, and this relates directly to the next page, over 2 pages over on page 75. You will find 12.4.7C.
Auditing services.
And it's auditing services again. And here we wanted to delete this last portion of a sentence, and it didn't get deleted for this copy because the last sentence reads, the same auditor shall not perform the district's annual financial audit for more than 6 consecutive years, and we should have a period there. The additional words that say, without requesting proposals from competing firms as directed in 12.4.3D, well, that just opens the gate again to have somebody do it more than 6 years. And the intent is they can do it no more than 6 consecutive years, and then we're changing regardless so that we get new blood to take a look at our books with different eyes. And so our recommendation is to accept these. I'll make a specific statement. I wanted to read this. On the previous page, I read that paragraph made reference to 13.2 about auditor. What that says is every 3 years, the district shall select its auditor by a competitive request for proposal process. Contracts shall be issued for 3-year terms and in accordance with section 12.4.5. Back where we are, of this manual. The district shall not retain the same auditor for more than 6 consecutive years. Straightforward. So we needed to get rid of that piece of the little sentence there. So those are the typographical little problematic issues that we came up with. In regard to our discussion about changing the overall scope, the way the policy is currently prepared, for allowing, in this particular case, the general manager to approve expenses up to $5,000 without board approval. We saw no reason to change that. We had information provided. Showing several other water districts where their budgets were $25,000 or $50,000 or $75,000 in expense before the general manager.
Right here.
Oh, it is in the board packet also.
Right.
It's on page 84.
Yeah.
Right, it's on the screen now.
Right.
So we saw those, we
Turn your monitor on, Bill.
Why?
It's on the monitor.
he's got
I
it.
turn my head and see.
Okay.
So, but anyhow, we decided to recommend no change to those levels. We felt that we were working pretty effectively and efficiently and didn't need to streamline it any faster. Our board meetings do seem to take a long time, and including approval of the checks. But we see what goes on. George brings us things over $5,000. They don't take that much time for us to consider, and we felt comfortable in leaving it at that level. We did not. The committee did not want to reduce it down to 0 or 1,000 or 3,000 or anything other than what we have. And that is our recommendation from the committee.
Okay, well, I disagree with the committee. Being you have this stuff here, I think it's ridiculous to have it at 5,000. Bill said he wanted it down to 3 in his email. I want to raise it to 25,000.
Well, we talked about raising it.
For several reasons. One, it's all budgeted. He can't spend it if it's not in the budget. And there's some districts that don't have any limits. And I don't know, you said Dustin did like the 5?
He likes the 5.
I had never heard that, but I don't like the 5.
He said it right here in the meeting.
I
He used
missed
the analogy of George buying a gold-plated computer.
I'm not worried about that. I don't remember that. So.
How does the lawyer feel about having words put in his mouth?
Yeah, that's nice.
I agree with that.
Okay, well, anyway,
as long as we budgeted for it.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we increase the general purchases to 25,000. Does anyone want to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay.
We can take a vote on it.
Okay, okay.
Because the committee was split back and forth, yes, no, so it wasn't it was a consensus
I didn't know
deal.
about this other thing where other people, and then I've talked to several districts, and they don't have a limit.
Yeah. Well, see the one
it's budgeted.
See the one on the bottom, Marin Municipal Water District at 56,275.
It probably has an increase.
That's the most
absolutely
richest part of the state, Marin County.
But it increases every.
Yeah. What it does, it probably has
right.
an inflation.
That's a really good example, Ken.
Right. But anyway, okay, so I've got the motion and the second. So now, any of the public like to make a discussion about that?
Thank you. I was getting tired of sitting. Look, let's be clear. If we're talking about C, correct?
C.
Mm-hmm. We've muddled the water a little bit here, including D in some of this. But regarding C,
C is the policy.
Director Kellogg says we have a policy of competitive bidding. Virtually every agency, even companies for profit and nonprofits, have competitive bidding policies. His point was maybe there was another firm with a better deal. Director Hunt said the public has been part of the several meetings to hear what that selection process was. Frankly, that's part of what the public wants. However, there wasn't did company A bid $900,000? Did company B bid $800,000? It was just one company at $1 million. Now, having just attended Paradise Town Council, and they selected a alternative method of bidding to get the new roof on Fire Station 1, when 3 years ago they did do competitive bidding and chose the highest bidder because bidder 1 and bidder 2 actually weren't qualified. That could be the same thing here. But my understanding, sitting here and having heard this dialogue, is that Director Kellogg was saying maybe somebody else would have bid less, maybe more, but we were not privy to hear any of that because there wasn't a Company 2 and a Company 3 to offer a bid. If it's in the policy that you have competitive bidding, give the competitive bidding option in the policy a chance to work. Even if you still decide, hey, we're PID. We're better than the other places. We're not going with the cheapest guy. You tell us in the audience that's what you're doing and the reasons you're doing it. And if it's the company for $1 million and not the one for $900,000, fine. You help us learn how you got to that decision and you used the competitive bid process in your procedures. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. You wanted to talk, sir?
Just a question. I'm kind of ignorant here. How does this $5,000 limit work? How many times can you invoke it? Is there a maximum in a year, 5 times a month? How does that work?
No,
Item purchase.
What it is he, as the policy stands right now, if it's more than 5,000, he has to bring it to the board to be approved.
Right.
But if it's under that, then he doesn't have to do that.
But how many times can he do that?
You do as many
It's
times
in the
as
budget.
necessary, as long.
Up to the budget.
Right, up until he's over, he
Understood.
can't overspend the budget.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
And, you know. You don't, okay. Okay, good. Okay, any discussion from the directors before we vote on the motion?
It's about the craziest thing I've ever heard. It's an easy way to walk out the door, Larry. Just come to the meeting and vote yes and go home. Don't walk around the yard. Don't go out and look at what's going on. Don't talk to other people. We'll just let George run the whole thing with this $25,000 and like Dustin was saying. And it's a matter of trust, I told you when I started this. I don't trust George Barber because I've seen him do things that he didn't follow through with, and he told me one thing and something else happened and so forth. And he likes to maneuver. And I'm going, well, why don't you give him a gold-plated key to the whole place, Larry? Because that's what you're doing.
We'll see.
I don't agree with you, but anybody else?
Well, I'll have to say that I don't agree with that other. And like I brought up before, Bill, if you don't trust the general manager, if you don't think he should be working here, then you need to lead a charge with the directors to say, let's terminate his contract and get another one.
Did I say anything about that?
No, I'm just helping you
You
out.
said you did, it's just that I think.
This is my...
Right.
listen,
We're just saying that we think it's important that we trust each other.
I think so too, but I don't think I think you missed what I'm trying to make a point, and obviously you haven't had the same experiences. But like I talked about,
It just sounds like you said you don't trust the guy that we've put in charge. Did I?
no, I don't.
Did I
I've had him tell me
miss
one
something
thing
there?
and then tell me something else, or have the meeting I'd gone to and it not be the same. And so I don't trust him. I have very little reason to. I wouldn't do business with George on a trust, on a verbal contract. Absolutely not.
Well, we're off topic, so.
Okay. Did you want to say something, Doug?
Yeah, I'm going to vote no on this, but if you'd have moved to remove the $5,000 and give him carte blanche on the budget, I'd vote yes on that. But the $25,000 I'm not going to do, you know.
We'll amend the motion.
I move that we amend the motion to delete $25,000 and say zero.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Zero means that he can do anything.
Within the budget.
It's
I
not,
hope that he would work with
and the
Kevin.
number's not zero, is
Kevin
it?
and him have to
The
work
number
together.
isn't zero. This doesn't exist.
Like George
There is
stated.
no limit on the.
It'd be per budget, not zero.
Number is infinity.
Because
Zero
he
is a
changes-
number.
I mean,
It's not zero.
zero.
Right.
He
There
has
is no limit.
no limit, except when we have to go out to bid, and then like we're on the.
There's a whole
on the
process.
stock and all of that. you
Right,
see.
there's other.
Happens every day.
And other policies, and in here, and,
Okay, so we got a moved and seconded on the amended. Now we got some discussion, okay?
Yeah.
The language is a possible amendment to the procurement policy.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah?
It's in the procurement
It's
policy.
the procurement policy.
This is in the procurement policy.
Uh-huh.
This limitations.
Okay. So you are making an amendment to it. That's your
Yes.
motion. Yeah.
Yes.
but now like George was saying, and then, Lord, he cannot spend one penny, none of us can spend one penny without this board approving. And right now, what we're doing is we're approving it after it's spent. In my forks of the road, there's a parts of that we could approve before we pay, you see. And I can guarantee you that it will make us much wiser spending of money, because I've seen it 4 times. I got 5 up, but 4.
I will say your variable.
And the general manager, which was no more competent than George, had free carte blanche. I was one of them once. And, you have to have trust.
So now we're not doing any approval prior to purchases. If it's in the budget, he can spend $100,000.
That's right.
That's what you're saying? Yeah.
But
And we
I don't
Really?
think, I. but
There's
he has
other
to bring it
rules
to
he
the
has to
board
follow.
to have it
Well, I'm going to
approved.
be on the opposite side of this one, that's for sure.
Okay. Okay, Lauren?
Thank you again, Warren Harvey. Sorry. I'm reminded of a small town in Southern California where they trusted people quite a bit, and I think that turned out bad.
Bill?
But yes, I think that was the one I'm reminded of. The other thing is the general manager just told you about 25 minutes ago now, if you want to look back in the minutes, that the reason, and I was surprised that all of you didn't hit on this at all, the reason why he didn't tell you that he was going and Kevin was going, his exact words, she could read them back to you, but let me try. I'm almost going to quote, but not exactly every verb. He basically said him and Kevin had decided that it might influence the board if they had told you that they were going to go also when you were voting for Mr. Hunt to go, so that he kept you in the dark on that, because he didn't want to influence the board. Now, gentlemen, he's the general manager. He's supposed to influence the board, and you're supposed to know what's in his head. That's what you pay him for, not to keep quiet because he might influence the board. He's getting paid to influence the board. So you might want to look back 25 minutes and see his exact quote, but I guarantee you ain't going to like it. I got it on video and I could play it for you, but it's not good. Thank you.
Okay, okay, the amended, do we want to read the amended?
Yeah, I want you to read the amended.
Or Janice?
Correctly, Director Fletcher moved to amend the initial motion of $25,000 to allow purchases that are within the budget.
So there's no limit.
There's no limit.
Right, okay. Roll call, please.
Director Corolla?
No.
Vice President Hunt?
No.
Director Fletcher?
Yes.
Director Kellogg?
Boy, sure trust him a lot, but so I'll say yes.
President Dennis?
Yes. Passes 3-2. Okay, now, see, what we've done is we've eliminated all this discussion about is this over 5,000 or if it isn't. And I think it's ridiculous to have done that, the 5,000.
We haven't voted.
Right, but that's the
We haven't
amendment.
voted on the main motion yet.
Right, that's true. Okay, I just wanted to explain it, that has eliminated that.
Can we
Okay.
be sure, as a staff,
Yeah.
we understand what the motion is, and that you all understand what the motion is? So what I'm getting is that C that's up on your board right now would be struck. Period.
Just the 5. You still have the 25 that you could emergency spend.
No.
That is not what the motion
No.
is. That's why
He
I
can
want
go up to
clarification.
$1 million.
Okay, let's explain this. We have a budget, we have it in your hand.
Yep,
On
right
one-
here.
Pick a line item on one of those things, and it says, for supplies for the office, we budgeted $80,000. That means George tomorrow can go spend $79,999 on a copier, and it doesn't have to come to you guys.
Yes, it does.
No,
Not
it's
anymore.
it's in the budget.
That's how you guys are voting.
That is
Yeah.
what is on the floor, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're
That's
voting.
why we
As
want
long as it's in the
clarification.
budget.
We are more than happy with the policy as it's.
I was shocked when you made the amendment.
Well, if you'll go back and look at my forks of the road, see, if we
Yeah,
enacted that.
That wasn't
was
part of
something
That wasn't part of the
That
motion.
wasn't the
I
motion.
realize
That's what the motion
Okay.
was on the floor.
because all I put was the.
So now everyone understand what the amended motion is?
Yeah, I understand what we just voted for, but remind me what the motion is, we gotta vote on it. It
Well,
is-
the motion
You
is,
better rethink that amended part first.
The motion was to change that to a $25,000.
25,000, and he
just straight
changed it to
across.
zero, to no limit.
So he amended it to no limit, infinity.
Okay,
as long as it's budgeted.
Here's the
And now we
deal.
can still vote on,
Now, here's the deal. If you folks realize, I've been involved in public and private agencies for 70 years, okay? And I'm working with Butte County now with their juvenile hall and a whole bunch of stuff. And like you guys stated, you've got to have trust. I've had budgets that I could go out and spend for Chico State, Butte Community College, a whole bunch of stuff, and spend $500,000 if I wanted to. But I'm not going to do that, and I don't think George would, you know. But now Destin may think that he will. You know? if I put my shades on when I go by because that gold computer is shining out the window, well, then I was wrong. But you said you got to have trust in your general manager. That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay, so
Can I just give you
Sure.
a simple question for thought? You as a board have gone through the checks every month religiously, more than any board I've ever dealt with,
Right.
for the last 10 years that I've been here. Can you think of an instance where there was a check written that you thought, well, we shouldn't have bought that?
No.
If you did, it was asked, it was explained, but is there any purchase that was made at this district that you thought, wow, I wished I could have had the opportunity to approve that because I would have done it different?
No.
That's the question.
Usually we're glad you did it.
You know, getting back to the Bell situation that was brought up here this evening, and I think that you'll agree that I pretty well do my homework. I started doing it before I got on the board. You know, and I've been doing that in a lot of different places over the time on here. And most of the expenses that are on here have nothing to do with George's paper. A large part of it. It really doesn't.
I'd like to hypothesize something. So you have an $80,000 budget for office supplies, and George goes out and buys a $79,999 copy machine. How much do we have left for the rest of the year for the rest of the office supplies?
$1.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. So you guys really want to give him the authorization, as a board, you want to give him the authorization to spend the entire budget of office supplies, possibly on one item. I know he's not going to do that.
Trust.
I know that he's going to, I do have trust in George. But what you're saying is you want to give him that authorization. And,
I have that much faith.
Bill, you're really blowing my mind
I
right
have
now
that
because
much
you
faith
said
in
yes
his
to that.
ability.
So
You know,
I'm trying to get some
George, I would
clarity on why you said yes.
Whether you spend $5,000 or $25,000 or whatever it is, I would hope that now that we have a very competent, just not a manager, but a CFO, you guys must talk back and forth before you go spend money.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, constantly, right? You must, you know? You must fly it across him and say, or one of the ladies in the office that has some responsibility or what, you just have to do that. If you don't, then you're out here flying in the wild blue yonder, like up at the treatment plant. If you want some expenditures, you must talk to Jim or Bill or
Well,
all the time.
There's a whole process.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to buy something and it's $600, then they write up a request and it goes to Keith. And since it's under $1,000, Keith says, "Yeah, we need that," and he approves it. It gets approved because, as according to policy, it's less than $1,000. He decides it. If it gets to $1,100, they go to Keith. Keith, I need this piece of equipment. Keith looks at it and says, "I agree with you." But then it goes to me. So nobody ends around anything. And there's a process where everybody has an approval.
Right.
And ultimately,
See, and I know that our work, and I feel very confident that our organization works that way. I really do. And that's a plus for you and Kevin and Keith and the management unit. And that's the way that it works. And I've been involved in organizations that work that way when I was at Duke College, and I've been involved where some of that don't. And the ones that don't do that are always on the wrong path, the wrong road, and they generally bite the bullet when they come down. Chico City is a very shining example of that. And I know some of the people that are very influential in that town, and I've worked for them. Well, anyway, so
They're doing phenomenal right now.
Can I just ask the president that maybe we ask staff maybe their recommendation and what they're comfortable with also before there is just kind of the haphazard
Change.
our processes
Yeah.
that we have put in place.
Quite honestly, I think that the board,
I'm thinking
if you voted this through, you have just showed the public that we have just given away all our control on decision-making of money in there. You didn't give him carte blanche, and that's a great thing. I trust these guys. There's nothing they can do, in my opinion, wrong. Every year we get a great report. Our auditor tells us exactly what's going on. But I think you're giving the appearance to these people out here that you just handed away all your control. And if that's the way you want to go, you will not have me voting with you on that. So go ahead. Continue down your path.
Okay, go ahead.
I think this is a very good control policy that we have. Not only from, I think it allows the district to run very efficiently, but it also keeps the board very informed on decisions that are made within the district. I hear
Absolutely.
people, two directors that say that there's an appearance that we as staff are hiding something from them. There is no hiding from us, but this also makes it so that there is no hiding from anything on this. I believe that this is a good policy. We as a district are different than school districts, because school districts are given funds from the state and they go spend those funds, state or school, because this is what you're getting this year. Okay, we're going to budget these amounts. We are an ebb and flow of revenue. We have ups, we have downs, we have reserves, we have places to put money. So this gives us, we give a budget. Yeah, the budget is a direction. It's a flow, but it's not the end all be all like a school district is. So being that we have a budget, maybe sometimes we need to go above the budget because we have a water pipe break or something else that maybe happens that really needs a lot of attention that maybe wasn't technically budgeted for. Or maybe we have monies budgeted that we really don't need to spend this year. So we're just going to keep them down there, and that'll roll over into the full budget the next year. So putting so much onus on the budget like other districts do, we're not built that way. We're built to keep a board informed and a board going forward.
And we're more comfortable with a budget as a planning tool, not an approval tool.
That's right.
Well, I really didn't mean to get it out here in dialogue at that long, but I'm going to be voting no on this motion.
Oh.
At least we got it out here, George, and now you'll know that there's one guy that trusts you. But the rest of us, including Dustin, sitting next to you, he doesn't.
Okay, that's the third time, Doug. Third time's a charm. Remember, your policies apply whether George is here, Kevin's here, or the next general manager, the next CFO. So you want a policy that's protective of the district, whether it's somebody you trust implicitly,
Absolutely.
or whether it's a brand new general manager, brand new CFO. I think you could probably legally do what you're suggesting, but I would really strongly, as a matter of policy, recommend against it. I think your auditor would have a nightmare about it. So he or she may throw a flag. I think it's dangerous. And if I were George and you adopted that as a procurement policy, I wouldn't change a thing. I would still stick to the 5,000. I would force the board to approve anything above 5,000.
I had the feeling that that's what he would do anyway. Even if I did, I figured when I said for the 25,000, I figured if it was something very unusual, and he does this all the time on things that are less than 5,000, he brings it to the board because it's unusual, and he lets us approve it, and he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to raise it to 25 for several reasons. One, we get rid of this darn little thing here that lists how many things that were paid that was over 5,000. Why do we have to list PG&E every month? What, we're gonna overpay PG&E?
That's what I'm talking about in my
That's why I don't like the 5,000.
See, that's what I'm.
Can we call for the question? We're spinning circles around.
Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, so clarify what we are going to be voting on.
You wanted me to call the question.
We're voting, in my opinion,
no, that's what I want.
that motion.
Okay, I can tell you. I can tell you what the motion is. Larry made it.
Voted on the last motion.
It's been amended by Doug. The amendment passed. So the original motion now is to change
To an
section 12.2.2, paragraph C,
to carte blanche.
to eliminate it.
To no limit.
Well, no, it won't be eliminated because approval of management staff
Yeah,
is still up to
Just the general
$1,000 for
manager
any
part.
item. To delete the approval of general manager, since the general manager wouldn't have any limitations. I will say, as a member of the administration committee, that's going to force us to rewrite. We have to adjust paragraph D. We have to eliminate paragraph E. We have to eliminate paragraph F. So we'd have to do a little tinkering further here to make it make sense.
Do some work. Okay.
Let's go ahead
Do
then.
you understand it?
This is just
Just
for
refer back to the
paragraph.
original motion that was,
The original motion.
As
with-
amended.
With a carte blanche
As
amendment to
amended
it,
to-
yeah.
Right, okay.
infinity.
I have a feeling the guy who amended is going to vote against it.
Roll call vote?
Roll call, please.
No.
By all means.
Vice President Hunt,
No.
Director Fletcher,
No.
Director Kellogg,
No.
President Duncan.
No.
I will make a motion.
That was a 35-minute trip around the tree.
I would like to make a motion
Jesus Christ.
that we accept the changes that the committee recommended on the minor adjustments to the policy as presented herein, and as amended verbally by me with regard to those sections 12.4.3D, the auditing services word, and the 12.4.7C, the auditing services, striking out that piece to make sure that we always change auditors at least after 6 contiguous years.
I second the motion.
I'll say, well, yeah.
Well, thank you, Bill.
Okay, any further discussion? Anybody out there want to talk about the motion that's on the floor?
Can I say it from my chair, sir? I just hope that the paper records accurately what just transpired there.
You're on the spot, Trev.
As I see it, nothing happened.
Yeah. If you figure it out, Trevor, will you let us know what happened just now?
Right. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. I oppose it. Because I didn't get my way.
I know.
Because I wanted to change that figure. I didn't want to change it to nothing, but I wanted to raise it.
We
So
have
it passes
future
4.
opportunities.
I blew my opportunity, thanks to Doug.
Can we take a break?
Is there anybody here who's waiting for something? Specific item on the agenda? No?
G, G, H, how many do you want?
Oh, okay. Well, if you're waiting for one thing, we'll do it and then we'll take a break. But if it's for more than one.
More than one.
Okay, well then let's take a 10-minute. 8:15. 8:15.
About an hour dinner break.
An hour dinner. I thought he was somewhere else. Okay, call the meeting back to order at 8:17, and we'll go.
Keith faith in your ability. Been watching this since you were 8 years old.
Keith, are you only here for one item?
He's getting
Are
too
you
much-
here for the entertainment value?
Or you want to be entertained?
We didn't have anything to do.
Okay, could I?
And Pinocchio the nose grows.
Okay. I was going to move ahead to yours if that's all you're waiting for.
That's up to you guys.
Okay.
You don't have to do it on my count.
Oh, okay. You're not on the clock? Okay, then we'll go to 5D, conflict of interest question.
Page 115.
115?
I'd make a motion that we get rid of this item since it's already been told to us by legal counsel that there is no conflict of interest.
Well, I think that since you didn't put it on the agenda, I think we should hear from the guy who did.
That's
115, page 115, iPad.
I agree with you, but I think we should hear from him. Okay,
And
Bill?
at the last meeting after we had the vote and out in the parking lot, I didn't think there had been any conflict of interest thing over the vote. But we were standing out there talking, and a fellow came up to me and said there had been, because Ken's vote broke the tie for the trip. I went home and I looked through the conflict of interest thing the next day and read it as best I could, and it looked to me like it had been, because he financially benefited from going to the meeting. I didn't talk to the attorney because the way the regulations are now, as far as my participation in the attorney, I didn't think I had access to him. Later on, about another issue, I called him and he said, well, we'll do this as something special. There won't be any charge to the district, and he talked to me about that issue, but it wasn't this one. So I thought, because of the interest of the person in the community about this, that it should be brought out. I had no thing from the attorney until I got this agenda item. So that was the reason for bringing it up. I honestly think there is a conflict.
Okay, my question, Bill, is how is he financially gaining anything by going to this meeting? He's actually losing money because he's self-employed.
Well, that's debatable. I don't know enough about his business to say he's losing money.
If you went to the convention, would you lose money?
Certain times of the year, no.
Well, but most of the time.
Right now, it'd be, no, I couldn't go to anything right now.
Right, and you would lose money if you went.
Yeah, but other times of the year, I wouldn't.
Well.
So are you losing money, Ken, by going to this thing?
More than likely I will, Bill.
Okay.
I'm a one-man office. I do home loans. We'll put that in the paper.
You say put it in the paper?
Would you like your address and phone number too while we're there?
How much is advertising space?
Just plug away.
Well, and my business is a very cutthroat type business. People don't have a lot of tolerance, and if somebody's looking for a loan officer, unless I have been recommended to them, but if I get somebody calling from the Yellow Page advertisements or another advertisement, or they see my sign, and I know this from years of talking to customers back and forth, they dial, and I'll give you an example. The last guy I got was from the Yellow Pages. He lives down in Yuba City. He's buying a home up here in Paradise for his daughter to live in. He called because he got the Butte County Yellow Pages. His realtor said, you got to get a financing person to make sure you're qualified to do this. He called me. He had to leave a message. I think I might have been on the phone because it was only a few minutes later I called him back. I connected with him, made a good impression. He's doing the loan with me. But I learned 3 or 4 conversations later, he said, you know, you were the 7th guy I called. And out of 7 of you guys that I called, only 2 of you returned my phone calls. And so it just reinforces the fact that if I'm not there and I don't have a substitute, I don't have anybody that can go in and answer my phones, I've got to try and tend to business and return phone calls from breaks, from after hours, from before hours at a conference I go to. But it's likely that I will miss business because somebody will call up and they won't leave a message. They hang up and they dial the next one. They hang up, they dial the next one, and they get somebody to do a loan. It's just the nature of my business. So when I do go, it's not like I'm going to be taking money out of my bank account, but there's going to be missed opportunity more than likely over that 5-day period of time.
Does that satisfy you?
I'd like the audience to participate now, ask their question.
Oh, okay.
Well, I will say one more thing, if I may.
Yeah, we should talk first.
Because financial gain, where's the gain? This is reimbursing for actual expenses on behalf of the district going down there, whether it's mileage or whether it's a flight ticket or whether it's a hotel room or the food, the cost of the education. Those are the expenses. Only the expenses will reimbursed. It's illegal for directors even to try and work the system by getting a stipend or a whatever you call per diem, where you get $20 for a dinner and you run down to McDonald's and spend $6 and you pocket $14, there's no opportunity for that. So there's, I asked the question, where do you see financial gain?
Well, I know whenever I go to a convention, which I go to LAFCO and I go to my tax department, I usually lose money. Because if I'm not in my office, I lost a very good customer one year because I was at a tax seminar. And they said, well, you weren't here, even though I left a message telling them where they could call me if they did. They didn't. But, so I don't believe that he has any financial benefit by going to this. Anybody else wish to say anything? George?
I just want to clarify for the board's information. Director Kellogg emailed this question, so it comes to me, and as per our recently adopted policy, he can't call legal directly and make the request. It has to go through me. I have to make the determination if it is a request that should be answered, is in the best interest of the district to get answered. In this case, it was mentioned in the public kind of at the end of that meeting that it was a conflict. It's out there, so I authorized Dustin's firm to just get it in writing, our official opinion, and present it to the full board.
Let me add to that. I was going to mention this in the legal report, but the policy worked. Director Kellogg called me a couple times, I think, and you'll see on my bill, I don't know if it's this month or next month, whenever it is, no charge for that. And then, as George said, he asked me to go ahead and write the opinion. What I think, and I'm curious to hear the board's input, if I do receive a director call, do you want me to report on it? I kind of think I should. If a director is asking a question and I answer it, and I don't charge for it, I think that's the type of thing that the answer ought to be given to all the board.
If you
Absolutely.
I feel my feelings are that if you're not charging for it, it's none of our business. But we would appreciate it if you did report on it.
That's
my
like
feelings.
everybody to have the same information. So that's what
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think that you're obligated to do it.
But the district's
Only
the district's the client, not the director.
Right.
So the confidentiality, unless it was something.
Yeah, and if one director has a question, maybe another director has the same one.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
But the district's the customer, not the director.
Yeah. Okay. Do you understand? Okay, public.
Thank you, Board. Lauren Harvey. I've talked to the public at length about this, believe me, at length. And several things come up. There is a gain because he gets PID to pay for a plane trip down so that when he's not doing something, he can play golf, which he loves to do, I'm told, by many people in the community. So there is a gain right there. You can put a fee on the plane ticket. If he goes golfing, he probably wouldn't go on a plane himself to go down, but this is an opportunity for George to take him along, and then he can go to the meetings, and then in the afternoon, he can go golfing, which he loves to do, I'm told, in the public. The other thing is it forms the opportunity for George and Kevin and Mr. Hunt to plot, if you will, against the rest of the board.
You got to go easy. That's just uncalled
well,
for.
Here's why I bring this up. Because there's a legal precedence called tit for tat, which means you do for me, I do for you. And Mr. Hunt is always recommending a $5,000 bonus for George, or raise his fee. He's always in favor of giving George more money. We'll see that when it comes to the labor negotiations here soon, and I'll remind you again. But it has the appearance of a payback, and thank you for speaking up for me and helping me get more money. So I say there is a gain in the thing, and I remind you of the tit for tat. That's a legal precedent. Thank you.
Did you want to make a comment, Kevin?
I'll wait.
Okay, great.
Thanks again for hearing us out. Lauren did make a couple of good points, but earlier it came up, what is the public perception? And the public sits here, what's the perception, what's going on here? And then based on the previous meeting, here's the way it comes out. Somebody is personally involved in the issue you're going to vote on. Many other agencies strongly suggest, may not be written boldly in the policy, but strongly suggest you recuse yourself when a vote includes your yay or nay, and it involves you personally. And that's probably what should have happened in that particular vote. Does he get to go or doesn't he go? He should have recused himself. That, to the public, looks like, wow, it does work here. This has come up frequently at council meetings, Town of Paradise, and recently was brought up by our newest council member regarding the statement of ethics in the council member's handbook. It also comes up when you do your annual discrimination training, etc., etc., etc. There are certain times when it looks best to the public that if there is a perception that something is ethically, morally, or otherwise wrong, you recuse yourself. That makes the public feel much more confident and much more trustworthy about all of your decisions when that happens. That didn't happen in this case. The thing about the money, I assume you would eat when you get there. You'd eat at home too. You would pay for your own meal at home. Not much difference, I see. So the money thing, it does make a difference. Town of Paradise council members have been very vocal about the town doesn't have a lot of money, although they do encourage further education. Council members pay out of their pocket to go to meetings. Travel, room and board, etc. And sign up to whatever the entry fee is to get into meetings. It's been going on for years. It's a great way to not only help the community see that what they're doing is what they're saying. The town doesn't have a lot of money. Here's a way we encourage our people to get there and learn more without the town spending any money to do it. Same thing could happen here, and the perception from the public would be, on an individual basis, if I was on the board, I care about this so much, I'll take money out of my pocket to get there and learn more so that when I come back, I'm worth more to my board. That would sound good to the public. That didn't happen in this case. I think sometimes, though, some of the stuff is awful petty. I mean, for instance, how often does the board know that Kevin and George play golf midweek at Tuscan Ridge? Or do you care? They get their salary, but they're gone doing something to have fun. Now, they didn't go to Palm Springs to do it. They're here. They're available by phone, but sometimes some of this is too petty. And for the public to get that pettiness, I guess maybe we'd coin a phrase from Director Kellogg. There's some untrustworthiness going on. And frankly, as part of the public, I'd rather see that turn around and make it more trustworthy. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
I would just like to make a comment about the perception. The perception that I'm hearing is that we're going to training in Palm Springs and we're going to be sitting by the pool and having margaritas on the district side. For me, training is really important to me, but it takes me away from things that I love to do too. I have 3 kids at home. Do you think it's real easy for me to leave my wife who works full time and go to training for a week? It's not. I coach. I do other activities that I am taking myself away from to better educate myself, to better the district and my job. Okay? So this isn't just some wonderful experience that I get to go and have, and I get to go and just love my time away. It's not. It's very difficult on my family too, that my family sacrifices to better my position as a CFO for Paradise Irrigation. So I think the perception of this is becoming way too skewed based on what we're trying to do as general manager, CFO, board member, to better the district for what we feel going forward. I just wanted to.
I really wonder if anybody would have complained at all if it was in like Elko, Nevada. You guys all been like, oh, that sounds like a little suckhole out there, so yeah, it doesn't sound like a great place to have a conference. That's why they don't have those conferences there, is because no one would go to Elko, Nevada to have this conference. So they have them in places like Monterey and Palm Springs, and places that attract people to want to go there. So you're looking at 3 people. I'm sure there's going to be more than these 3 people at the meeting. I'm hoping so, because you might get a little more education if there is. But this is such a narrow road the public has presented that they just look at this one little thing, and Director Hunt gets great information, whether he's reading it sitting in his house, the procurement policy, the PID rules and regulations that's coming up. He takes that upon himself. He doesn't ask you guys if it's okay if he stays up till midnight and reads, endless, countless pages of policy that was made 50 years ago and has no basis in today's politics or our financial situation. He takes it upon himself to go in there and rewrite and find where the problems are and little grammar, changes that need to happen so that it makes it a better district. But I never hear anybody out there commend him for that. All you're doing is looking at this one trip and saying, oh, he's going to Palm Springs, you must be playing some golf. Well, heaven forbid, Ken, that you'd sit in 6 or 8 hours worth of classes and not have a little bit of fun, okay? Because I know no one in the public ever does that. They don't go to work all day or do something that's strenuous or hard and then have a little relaxation time too. So please don't have any relaxation time when you're there in whatever town that you wind up in. But I know that Director Hunt will come back with some very valuable information for this district. And if the people in the public can't see that, very short-sighted.
I just want to say, if any of you out there ever want to run for this office, don't do it for the money. And money is a financial gain.
It's real easy being on that side of the podium.
Okay.
Well, I didn't use my whole 3 minutes, so let's get on balance here. You've heard me at this podium and when it was over there that the thing of it was, I've stood here and complimented you and the work that you do many, many times, and you know that I go to other places and do the same thing, because bragging about PID is one of my favorite things to do. We're a great district, we're well run, we're well managed, we have a board that loves to go tooth and nail over all the different things, and some places they just, rubber stamp it. We don't do that here. And that's why I think everything has to be in balance.
Thank you. Okay, so did you want to take any action, Bill?
No.
Okay, because
this
is action may be taken. I just wanted to make sure.
It served the need of what
I have
the
a
fellow
question.
that told me about it and everything. It's been aired. Everybody's had their opinions, their say. I don't think there's any need to do anything more.
Okay, Ken has a question.
Right, I'd like to know what our legal counsel came up with in regard to a legal opinion about this situation, specifically the last paragraph in your report to us.
Can you, I missed the first part. I'm sorry, Ken.
What are your feelings on this subject?
On the conflict?
What's the determination from?
It's not a legal conflict.
Is that all? Did you go there?
That was the long version?
That was the long version? Okay.
Do you want me to read it into the record?
Yes.
I'll be happy to read it into the record.
Okay.
Based upon the foregoing, it is our opinion that Director Hunt's participation in the vote authorizing his attendance at the CSDA conference and his reimbursement for travel and lodging related expenses does not constitute a conflict of interest as defined by statute or common law. And for those of you who think that people who vote and make decisions, if they can always recuse themselves and not make an important decision when it looks like they're doing something to improve their lot. For example, 8 years ago, I don't think you were here, Seth.
Nope.
The minutes are in the, just coincidentally, the minutes happen to be in the agenda tonight because it's about the policy there. But 8 years ago, approximately, this board, Doug wasn't here either.
No.
So Bill and Larry and Ken, John Heinke and Rick Hall voted to increase the stipend we get for a committee meeting from $25 to $100. How is that ever going to take place and happen if the entire board would have to recuse itself from voting for that? There are rules in place, regardless of the perception for public, where a director is going to have to make a decision for the good of the district, for the good of the board, and it may look like that is a self-serving vote from the public. But I would like to have the public, I'll kind of get off that point because it was, I presume it's legal, otherwise we got a lot of paying back to do.
Well, I'll take it even further than what you're saying. You're all, in order to be a director, you have to be a customer, right? A resident of your division. So everything you do, most everything you do, benefits you in some way, some more directly than others. The conflict of interest laws, I'm always going to be very cautious. I'm going to err on the side of calling it a conflict and advising you or one particular director not to vote on it. And this one, I think it's clear-cut. It's not a legal conflict.
Well, I want to bring up a point. A few months ago, we got some money because we did some refinancing, and so I was able to delay the raise to all of the customers for 6 months so that nobody out there had to pay more money for their water for 6 months. And I voted on that, and it helped me too because I have 5 meters. So you're saying I can't vote on that, and I was helping everybody in the district, including myself? I don't think it.
I just remember, Larry, I voted with you.
Yeah, I know.
I think I voted against that.
Yeah,
Yes, you did. Ken, you can't claim that one.
But anyway, what I'm saying is if you live in a district and everything, there's no way you can keep from having subjects that are going to affect you. But if it affects everybody else too, then it's not a conflict. Okay? Okay, then we'll go on to PID rules and regulations policy manual.
I'm going to make a request. We table this till the next meeting. I need some more input from legal counsel, and we weren't able to connect in the short time between the committee meeting and this meeting. Thought we could handle
Need a motion on that?
No, president can do it. Okay, I'll table that to next meeting. Formation of a committee. Consider establishing an ad hoc water rate analysis committee with members appointed by the president of the board. Okay, the first thing we still need this, right? This is for the
pretty clear.
What is it?
Proposition 218.
218. Who was on the board last time? You two.
Committee, those two.
Right. How many of you want to be on this board? Only 2 of us can be on it.
I do. I like that.
I do
Well,
too.
I think everybody except me wants to be on it.
Except you. Do you want to be on it, Doug?
Yeah, I'd like to be on it.
You'd like to be on
Yeah. Yeah.
it? Okay.
But I can have it either way.
Right. Okay. Well, then I'm going to defer to who's this in the staff that runs this the most.
It's a full team effort because
Okay.
there's a financial side of the piece, and then there's due diligence that takes engineering report, writing skills, and analysis. So
Do you people have any preference?
Don't put us in that spot.
You're not going to do it, okay? Well, I wasn't. I wanted to be on it last time, and I wasn't. And I wasn't president. I think Sepp was president, right? Or who was president?
Mr. President, may I interject something?
Yes.
I'm very interested in this because of the fact of some of the comments that I've made about the $20 million loan and where we're at. But I've got so many great things happening in my world that it would be, I would be better off if I didn't.
You're working too hard. Now, when will this? Okay, that brings up another question. When will the majority of this committee be working?
Yeah, next 2 to 3 months.
It won't go into tax season?
We sure hope not.
Okay, because I want to be on the board, but if it's going to go into tax season, I can't be on there, on the committee. I'm sorry, Sep.
No worries.
I'm gonna appoint
I'll take my
myself.
bullet. I'll take my bullet somewhere else.
Okay, I'm gonna appoint Ken Hunt and myself to the ad hoc committee. Okay. Yeah, I must say though, Sep, you were a very good president last year.
Thank you.
I really
Appreciate that.
I think you really matured. You stepped right out there and took care.
Now, naturally, as we
Appreciate
do
that.
all this stuff, it'll come back to the board, and that's where we'll really iron it out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The board always decides.
I'm almost
You weren't here,
inclined.
Doug, just so you know, it's an ad hoc committee, so there will be meetings with just Kevin and I and the committee members as we work through the process. And then we generally have some open and public meetings also with the committee, and then ultimately it comes to the board. But it's a mix of open meetings.
Before you go to if you were going to the public, would that be pre-218 or pre? In other words,
It'll be pre.
why would you bring back the committee's report to the board and get our input before you go to the public?
Because we're trying to get the public's input through the process. The committee is developing ideas, figuring out what our needs are, etc. So we want the public at least to get the opportunity. Last time we had, I don't know, 6, 8 people show up, and that helps the committee get some feedback on what the public thinks of where we're headed.
Well, I know as you're aware, I've done quite a bit of looking into this, so I'd be knowledgeable, and a couple of workshops that I've attended, both online and other places, and we're looking at a substantial amount of money that we're going to have to cover with some type of income. And Kevin has explained that quite well. I keep referring to here, he explained that quite well.
We might not want to talk about all that though right now.
No,
This
it's
is-
not on the agenda, so we
I
shouldn't.
understand that.
Okay. Yeah, the board still has to approve anything that we do.
Oh, by the way, in the committee, who's the chairman? You take it?
I'll be the chairman. Right. Okay. Next item, vehicle purchases. Manager Barber.
You have the written report from Keith explaining our needs and how the process will work. One thing that wasn't clear that was missed in my review, when you look at the bid recap, the downtown Ford is the state purchase. The state goes out and competitively bids vehicle needs, and then we're allowed to, as a special district, get that same price. So even though it says downtown Ford, they were the one that won the bid. So
For the state.
from the state. And then we try to give the locals an opportunity to bid as well. So you saw those in there also. Technically, and it happens in other districts, we could have just brought you the state bid because it's already been bid throughout the process. But we try to give the locals a shot. Last vehicle purchase in 2011 went to Corning Ford.
Corning, yeah.
So they were able to beat them. But this time, obviously, you can see there's a substantial difference.
Keith, did you want to add anything?
No, I'm just here in case you have any questions.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
How many miles do you have on your truck, George?
38,000 miles.
Okay, so it's barely broke in. My suggestion is that we take and buy a used vehicle for the treatment plant. We can probably, with all the new cars on the road and stuff, probably get a pretty good deal with something that has 38,000, 40,000 miles. And George could keep his pickup, and since it's barely broken in.
I'm almost prepared for that. Not particularly the way you worded it, but I did check. In 2011 is when we purchased my truck, and you'll remember there was a whole exchanging my reimbursement for mileage. Won't get into that. But we paid around $26,000 out the door, tax everything included. I did a blue book on that truck today, and it ranges from $22,500 in trade-in to $25,000 value for new private, from a private party. So we're proposing a $30,000 truck. So used, you're going to be ending up spending probably $24,000 for one that's been used. I think it's probably better to start.
How does your depreciation work on that? Can you depreciate up to 10 years? I mean, 7 years. So if we had a 4-year-old vehicle, you'd have 3 left.
According to depreciation.
Yeah.
But we don't pay taxes.
No, we don't pay taxes, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
No, it's just
Do
that,
pay taxes.
yeah, depreciation.
As far as worth.
Depreciation is
On our books.
never mind. Larry could talk about that.
Right.
George, since, don't you pay there's a name for it, and I've forgotten what it is, the state for using that truck, there's a fee that you pay.
I don't pay the state, I pay you.
Well, whoever it is.
Pay $100 a month in fuel, and then I have to pay the income tax on the lease value of that vehicle.
Yeah.
On his tax return.
Yeah.
So
Now, do you pay that to the district, or do you pay that as an income tax thing?
that's income tax, so it's
Income.
withheld from my paycheck and it's
Yeah,
dealt
but
with in my taxes.
The government actually gets that.
Right.
Yeah.
Federal government.
It's
How
kind
much
of
is
his
it?
income to him.
How much is it?
I don't,
I don't know.
yeah, and that's private information.
Huh?
That's private. His tax return is private.
I was going to say, yeah, wouldn't that be private information?
Yeah, right.
It's George's personal.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a calculation to which you could,
I've done the calculation. It's called a fringe benefit. It's
Yeah.
non-compensated fringe
There's a
benefit.
name for it.
So it's actually included in this compensation at the end of the year.
Yeah. So, so it's not free,
No, it's not free.
even though it might.
And before that, the district was paying $500 a month.
to you.
What do you, okay, we budgeted, back to the good old budget that I wave around here, we budgeted $174,000 for those expenditures. Yeah, there may have been another pickup or two on there, I'd have to go back and look at it. But there was $174,000 budgeted. Did that include more rigs too? It didn't include the vacuum rig that we bought. And I think we saved $20,000 on the vacuum rig. Now, if that's the case, it's 30 or whatever it is here, we're gonna save on this.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look, but I believe we budgeted 22 for each one of
Yeah,
them.
well,
22 and 35.
You know what page it's on?
Well, it's a good thing we didn't jump on board about 3 items back, because we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now.
We were,
Oh, yeah, I'd trade it in for a Cadillac Escalade.
it's in here. I've forgotten the page number. I got it written down another place. I think it was $174,000. So, and this bid is coming in at 131.
Just the obvious, huh?
You know, so we're gonna be under budget real well.
It's right here. 26, 30, 50, and 68.
Yeah, see, and that turned out to be,
So you have to
yeah, but here,
subtract 20.
over here you get 100 and.
Oh, right there, 174. Yeah.
Yeah, 174 on the budget. It's on page 70. Does that make a difference? So like getting back to our argument that we had here before, this was all budgeted, and of course we have to go out to bid and the state bid.
George?
And I imagine when they put in the 170.
The model that you have now, is it like an XLT or something like that?
It's an XL.
It's an XL. What's the comparable to it now? XLT?
No, what we're
This is
getting
plainer?
here is an XL. It's exactly the same truck, except it's got cruise control.
How, is that GMC?
Ford.
Keith
Ford.
No, the GMC dump.
Oh, the one,
The 1989, which, you know, is a pretty old rig. Keith,
getting rid of?
the dump, the 89 dump,
Keith?
Keith, or whoever that falls into the category.
Sorry, Doug, what was that question?
Huh?
He missed the question.
Oh, I just said that 450 regular cab, 3-yard dump GMC, it's a 1989. And occasional use, will this new truck also get occasional use? What's occasional use? How many miles a year?
No, what I was meant by that is this 450 with the 3-yard dump, for some of the leaks, some of the smaller jobs where we only need to get a little bit or a smaller amount of material back and forth to put a road back together,
I understand.
would be used much more often. In those cases, in 19, even 19 being that old, we could still use it. It could be used for occasional use. You can correct me if I'm wrong, George, with that comment. Or possibly we could get rid of that truck, but we could use it, but it would be occasional use. We can't pull the back unit with it, not safely. It's older, okay? So we're kind of on the line of that, Doug, to where, yes, we could use it, but it would be occasional use, where this 450 Ford, being smaller, we could get in and out of tighter places. It just would work out so much better.
And can tow the back?
Not with that one.
Not with that one?
No. But we have other dumpsters.
Are these diesel or gas?
Yes.
Gas.
I do want to clarify something too. Up on your screen, the F450 cab chassis, there's still a utility bed to be purchased for that truck in the $35,000 range. So even though we may look like we're under budget, we're going to be right near budget.
Right to
when that comes to you
both
next
of them.
month, we're trying to get. We could only find one bid so far. We're trying to get multiple bids.
And we're doing better with that. I'm not trying to think we have them, but as I put in my memo, you will get that information next month. Because that'll take a specific utility bed.
For the body.
That's right.
For the
That's
body.
That's for the mechanics.
There's an outfit down in the valley by the name of Douglas that really builds some fantastic ones. We just bought one, and I always use this analogy, but we just bought one. In fact, I think it's either 650 or 450 Ford with this on it. When you get into the thing to drive it, which they won't let me do that, but I don't want to do it because I want them to put a dent in it first. Okay, it's a $150,000 rig because those bodies really cost big bucks.
We'll have that information for the board.
That'd be great.
In October.
So that's going to use up most of that $174,000.
Okay, any other questions of the board? I'd entertain a motion.
I move we authorize the general manager to purchase the 4 vehicles from Downtown Ford in Sacramento for a cost of $138,458.29 and authorize the general manager to dispose units identified above in the most practical manner.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Anybody from the audience?
Thank you. It does appear that we made an attempt to purchase these within Butte County, and that didn't work out. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we need to understand there's some benefits of the loss there. First, you got to remember the Town of Paradise motto: shop local, keep the dollars at home. We're not doing that when we do this kind of thing. There's only a small part of that really applies here. But the secondary effects are those people that sell those vehicles, sales manager, the salesman, the financial manager, they live outside of Butte County. They benefit from this purchase of ours, not somebody in Butte County. And frankly, that goes against a lot of what we've been preaching in Butte County for several years about shopping local. Thanks for the time.
I think at the state rate, though, there's probably not a lot of profit in
Well, that'd be a considerable leap in expense to buy local.
To buy local?
Yeah,
How much more?
And since we don't have a dealership here in Paradise, last time I checked on the Skyway, there wasn't a Ford dealership.
23,000.
But
23, 24.
I'm pretty sure there wasn't.
Saving
We might have to go out of the
$23,000
area.
by going to downtown
And I
Sacramento.
believe the sales tax on a vehicle
Goes to the
wherever
county.
you buy it goes there anyway.
It goes to the county, yeah. Right. Yes?
Thank you. Last year I bought a new car in Sacramento and the sales tax come back to Butte County, so I'd like to confirm that for you. Second thing is I was just sitting there and did I hear one of the board members say they didn't want George to get the new truck? They wanted to give it to the treatment plant? Because I feel as a citizen, if we're going to buy a new pickup, George should get it. If his truck only has 2,000 miles on it because he was kind enough not to run the thing into the ground, and if a new truck's coming, he's the head man. He should get the new truck. So thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
No.
No, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay.
Can I say something now?
Yes.
I only have two or maybe three. One, no, Larry, we're not on the clock. At least I know I'm not. One, two. Yes, really.
Did he just hang you out there?
I did. Yeah, I hung him out to dry. I wanted to stay for that if there was any questions, but mainly to say on behalf of staff and our department, and I'm sure Bill for the treatment plant, we appreciate you guys allowing us to get the vehicles and the equipment that we need to do our job safely and effectively. We would not ask for these things if we did not need them, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
I was gonna, this new vac truck that's coming, unit?
Yes.
I was watching as I was stopped with one of our flaggers down here, and the old unit, and George confirmed this, the hose on this new rig is going to be handled much safer.
Yes.
And carried around.
Yes.
So
That when I put in, I don't know, two meetings ago, the memo about the asking for the purchase of that, and I mentioned more ergonomically correct. That is one of them, and it has a boom that the hose rests on,
right.
And you can pull that around, and that in itself is going to help the guys out a whole lot.
Well, I know when I was sitting there waiting to go, because we've been flagged, I was noticing the dragging that hose, and I said, boy, I used to be able to do that, but I wouldn't have been able to pick up the front end of it because you could tell it was.
They keep improving.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. You guys have a good
Thank you guys for hanging out.
Thank you for the great job you do.
And I'll just echo his comment. Thank you very much.
You can see the boot marks on his back right now.
You threw him under the dump truck, huh?
Exactly. Night, guys.
Good night. Okay, H. Substantiability Management Association?
Sustainability.
Sustainable? Manager Barber.
Thank you. I've got this as an agenda item to request your support in, I've been asked to serve on the board of directors for the Sustainability Management Association. I really like the core of what they're after, which is in there, combining economic performance, social responsibility, and environmental stewardship. So I think being a member of that board will be bring me some really good information to help support the district. Initially, I'll pay any fee. It's a $200 fee initially, and I'm more than willing to pay that. But I wanted your support as a board so that when I go to conferences, when I talk to other agencies in Butte County, I can comfortably share any information that I gain through this relationship with your full support. And Angela is here tonight, and I'll let her introduce herself. She's the executive director, so she can tell you a little more about it.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm pretty lucky to be here this evening because I am a customer of PID and lucky enough to live here in Paradise. And so I just recently became a customer of yours about a year ago. And so I'm very excited that George Barber has volunteered to serve on our board. The Sustainability Management Association is a volunteer nonprofit. We are a 501c6, and basically our mission is to help educate professionals about how to better manage organizations, so for environmental, economic, and social responsibility all at the same time. And our board is volunteer. We do ask that they serve for a minimum of 2 years, and that commitment usually has a monthly meeting on the second Thursday of each month for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half at maximum. And we do ask our board members to contribute to intellectual capital as well. This is, we have issue a certification exam for professionals to acknowledge and accredit their knowledge and skills in sustainability as a profession. So we had about 60 people put this book together. At the time, I was in very close relations with Cal Water and their district manager there, and they actually referred me to George Barber in the most recent to say that it would be a great wonder, it would be a great asset to our board to have a water agency on our board, and to me personally to have it from our own backyard. So we do a lot really well here in the state of California, especially throughout this drought. And it was just fun to just go into your restroom to see all of the sustainable ways that you're using recycled content, paper towels, and a low-flow sink, and a low-flow toilet, and little motion sensors, and I was very impressed. Little Gojo soap. So I give you an accolade for that tonight too. So I'm very impressed with your office, the way it is actually set up as a facility. So I humbly request, in official capacity, it would be nice if we would be able to put PID on our website as a partner to be able to absolutely. Excuse me, it's kind of late. I start teaching at 8 a.m. I'm a teacher at Chico State. I teach for the Department of Management there, and I actually teach our minor in sustainability management. And so this is my expertise. This is definitely a project that I put my heart and soul into. And just recently we voted as a board to expand our members to add directors. And so we are adding directors from air quality, from the water areas as well, and waste management. And so we have a full board at this time with George Barber's support. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you, and I really enjoy getting to meet all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I move that we authorize the general manager to serve on the Sustainable Management Association Board of Directors.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I want to amend it and add that we reimburse him for his membership.
I will second that amendment.
We shouldn't reimburse them. We should
You
just pay it.
seconded. Well, he said he's going to pay it, so we're going to reimburse him.
What is it, $200, George?
Yes.
Right. Okay, on the amendment, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No, I'll join the ayes.
Okay, no, none opposed. Okay, now we'll vote on the original amended motion. All those in favor of it, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any objection? Any nays? None. It passes 5-0.
Thank you.
You don't advocate for dam removal or anything like that? Okay.
Oh, we didn't have the vote?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Warren.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. Yes, we'll have public comment. Let me start with 100% support from this member of the public for this, in fact, to pass. I've known Angela for many, many years. We've worked together on a couple of projects. Her starting SMA is probably one of the best things we've had in our community. And if you like education, sorry, Director Doug, if you like education, adult education through the webinars that she hosts are absolutely outstanding. The last one I participated in was about zero waste, and companies that had changed over a 3 to 5 year period from what they had in their dumpster to virtually nothing. Absolutely incredible. Yes, George is right. There are things that he will learn from who he associates with on the board at SMA, as well as from hearing from Angela, because she draws from resources all across the country and I think around the world. Yes, and it is a huge volume of information, education, and as a resource. However, some of what he's going to bring back has to do with a certain culture. Angela already mentioned some of the things that have taken place here. But for instance, this is my reusable cup. You've seen me here with this numerous times. It's 15 years old, and you all drink out of paper cups, which are going to go in the waste stream.
It's recycled paper, though.
Maybe. But you know what? a culture that starts with management and works its way all the way down through the system. You've got a great recycling program next door. I saw several cans full of CRVs during the open house. There is something that happens here that doesn't happen in some other companies. What I'm saying is, you will even draw that to a finer T. Every single T crossed, every dot in place when you get done with what she's going to provide and George will bring back. And I'm really a proponent of being able to do this. George will do well there. Thank you.
It's a lot easier to say SMA than say the whole word, isn't it? All the words.
I've known about it since the onset and have been an avid supporter.
Okay. Great. Anybody else wish to speak on it, since I forgot to have the public input? None? Okay, we'll go on to October Board of Directors meeting. President Duncan, consider canceling the regular meeting of October 15th and setting a special meeting date for the month of October. The reason I'm requesting this is I'm on the LAFCO Executive Board, and we're having a convention in Wapping, Ontario. I don't know what you do in Ontario. Well, I'll find out.
You going to Canada?
No, Ontario, California. But I'm proud to say that LAFCO is paying for this, not PID.
We're paying for part of it.
You're paying for part of it, yeah. You pay the dues. You pay the dues. But I bring back a lot more. Yeah, their dues. Okay, so what I'm suggesting is I was suggesting having it on the 22nd of October.
Do you need a motion in that regard?
Please.
I move that we change the October meeting date from cancel the 15th and move it to the 22nd.
Is there a second?
22nd. No.
22nd, yeah. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any from the public? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can I vote on it? It's benefiting me. I don't know why.
I think it's a personal.
It's not financial.
It's a personal decision. Are you going to?
I'm not going to make money on this. I'm going to lose money.
You want me to get up and say something? I've got an audience behind me now.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to committee reports. The first one is from me.
Thanks.
Butte Local Agency Formation Commission. We had our Butte County Special District meeting yesterday, and I gave a report at that one. And now I got to do it again. Let's see. I've got to find my papers. Oh, yeah, now it's where is it? Oh, it's in here. We met on the. Well, that's the other meeting. Where is it? Okay. We met on the 4th of September in Oroville, and we are still working on trying to get a agreement with Chico for them to hook up the 62 illegal hookups that they did. Like I've said before, Chico has a tendency to do things and then ask for forgiveness afterwards. And many times they want us not to charge them fees for it too, which I don't think is fair. But anyway, we're still working on that. We haven't done it. I think they're sort of waiting for after the election. And that it's a shame that it does that, politics. Also, we've got a new what's it called? Acronym. It's Mutual Water Companies, MWCs. What it is the state passed a law stating that the mutual water companies must report to LAFCO now. And we had a complete study on it. And if you're not aware of what they are, is they're a small water district that is usually formed by a developer. And Butte County has 13 of them. And some of them as little as 10 hookups and some over 400. But we have a complete report, and it's on the LAFCO website if you want to look at it. It's very interesting. And like I say, one of the reasons I enjoy being with LAFCO is I learned quite a bit about Butte County. And then when I'm on Cal LAFCO, I learn a lot about the state of California. And we did do Oroville is getting on board to try and get rid of the ducks. It's disadvantaged, unincorporated property that's many times they're islands. And the state passed a law that says that they can be forced to be annexed without their approval, without the owner's approval. And so we're working on that, but we prefer that the entities agree with us on it, and Oroville is coming to it. And like one guy said, they've been working on it for 30 years, but they now have a new mayor, and she's on our LAFCO board. Forget her name.
Linda Dahlmeyer?
Yes, Linda Dahlmeyer. She's one of our new LAFCO commissioners, and she's working very hard to get this annexation in, and that'll make it. The bad thing about it is if you're in a duck, you can't even vote. You know, everything's happening around you, but you can't even vote on whether it happens or not because you're not in the city limits or town limits. And so we're trying to get in line with that, and then we do have our meeting on October the 15th, and it's going to be in that Wapentown of Ontario. And I don't. They do have a winery there, but I don't think I'll be going to it. I'm not a wine person, but
they've got golf courses nearby.
I'm not a golf person either, and. Unfortunately, although they are coming up with foot golf, I might go in for that. Yeah. But it'll be we have a new, getting on to Cal LAFCO, we have a new CEO, and last year she brought us in under the budget. I mean, the revenue was very good, and so we're in good shape, and she's doing a very good job. And our clerk from LAFCO was nominated to be one of recognition to get an award for being the best clerk of LAFCO, but she has competition, and I'm on the nomination committee, and I know who won, but I can't tell anybody. It's confidential. So that's the end of my report. Okay, now. The next report is Butte County Special Districts Executive Board meeting. Director Hunt.
Yesterday was our meeting. We met at the Durham Park, out under the big metal shed in the open air, and had sandwiches and potato chips.
That was our financial gain.
Yeah, that's right. I got fed, and gonna charge the board here, about $16 or $17 for mileage.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What did they cost you to get there?
Is that leaded or unleaded?
About $30.
What gas were you going to use there?
Anyhow, we met yesterday. Mike Trink actually put together a pretty formidable agenda, went over a lot of things, but the business was handled quickly. A little bit out of order. We had the presentation first, but the business just approved the bank statements. We fired a member who hasn't paid dues since 2009, and we put, 2 others on notice that they've got 10 days to pay their little $25 fee, or we're going to drop them from membership. It's in the bylaws, and we're just going by that and cleaning it up a bit.
So who was it? Who'd you drop?
Who are they?
I don't know if it's one of my other clients.
Upham Cemetery.
Yeah. I thought it was a dead business.
People are just
way too late for that.
People are just dying to get in there.
And we set our next general membership meeting this October 16th.
Which we can't approve before. can't be approved for the, how's that gonna work?
That's going to work as the directors are going to have to pay for their own ticket, and then we'll have it on the agenda in October to approve your reimbursement.
Reimbursement, okay. And where
But I go anyhow because I'm a member.
remember, we're gonna,
of the board.
yeah, you gotta pay. I mean, the district's gotta pay.
Absolutely.
Right. We're gonna have, what are we gonna have on the menu? Birds, right?
Anyhow, going to have bird. That's right, fowl. It's going to be located at the Bird Street Cafe in Oroville. It's a little restaurant down there. 6:30 p.m. night meeting. So if the board, if members of the board want to consider going to this one, the last general membership meeting that they held was supposed to have been held was scheduled for May, but it was canceled because of lack of response for participation. And we would like to keep bringing this up and see if we can encourage some some participation. We're looking to get a couple of politicos, if we can, in as guest speakers.
The
tax assessor.
Tax assessor opponents.
Yes. And that was about it. One of the board members passed away recently, and but I guess it's so close. It's at the end of the election, the serving cycle.
She wasn't a member. She was an honorary.
Oh, she was just an honorary member? Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we could keep her on then.
Right.
And then the presentation given was interesting. It might not have had a lot of direct impact upon us, but once again, it was interesting. Kathy Grahams, who is the director of Butte County Department of Employment and Social Services, Butte County Homeless Population Problems and Solutions, is what she spoke about. But it's in regard to the ever-growing homeless populations around here and what they do about it and how they're going to attend to it. Nobody has any solid answers on this thing, but they're taking some actions to take little steps at a time and start addressing particular issues. Largely, communities in Chico and Oroville are affected by that. We are affected here somewhat in Paradise. Mike Trinka with the Paradise Rec and Parks Department said that occasionally they find homeless people sleeping in the parks, and they have to rouse them out and ask them to move on and find a shelter. And of course, this is going to be becoming more and more important with colder weather. But anyhow, it was a nice presentation, a little bit. Water business, I didn't see anything there, but it was still nice to know what's going on around the community, and she gave a very good presentation. And that was the extent of the meeting. After the, I guess I should say, after the general membership meeting on October 16th, the next board meeting will be hosted by Paradise Irrigation District here in our boardroom in December 8th or 16th or whatever the date is. That's it.
One thing, there's over 1,500 homeless people in Butte County, which I didn't realize there were that many people. And it was very interesting. And 17% of them have children, which really sounds terrible. 23% have mental problems. And 20% of them have jobs. Yeah. But it's you wouldn't think there's that many people in Butte County that are homeless. But I guess Paradise, we have some, but they're not very many.
Snow's up here.
They also brought up the fact of the 3-day sick leave.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to affect us.
That was something that Mike Trinka brought up. That's right. The 3-day sick leave law is something. It's going to impact us somewhat. It's going to impact him a lot. Part-time employees, once they work for what is it, 90 calendar days. I mean, not work the days, but once they've been an employee of that for 90 calendar days, then they're entitled to accrue sick leave up to with a minimum of 3 days they can accrue, and there's
Not minimum.
Max.
Maximum of 3 days, and they accrue it at 1 hour for every
Yeah.
30 hours worked.
1 hour. But it's a slow accrual process, but it will impact them, and you get Park and Recs department like that who gets their funding, I guess 100% from the tax dollars. It's not like they can react to that and say, hey, well, calculate and say it's going to cost us another $23,000 this year, so we need to increase rates to cover that. They have to either find some place to not spend $23,000 or hope that property values go up, or
They will be able to, one simple law, having a softball team price could go up because they charge to use the fields and their facility use.
Oh, they
fees
do
and
have some
all of those
fees.
things will probably have to increase in relation to cover that expense.
Yeah.
We'll have to do something in our rate increase too, huh? It's going to affect us. Right?
Just be aware of that in our.
We'll factor it in.
Right.
We
I'm
have-
worried
We have 5. He has 200.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm worried. I have some clients who have employees, 6, 7 employees, and they're just barely making it now, and now they're going to have to give them sick leave. It's going to affect a lot of businesses in Paradise. Okay. Thank you.
Good question to Ken.
Yeah.
On that luncheon or dinner that you were talking about, would it be beneficial? We have a time and opportunity to go to that?
Well, see, once again, you're going to meet people at various special districts: water, sewer, cemetery, parks, mosquito abatement, drainage, all kinds of things. So people have different problems, but they also have different experiences, and if you're gregarious, and you certainly are, you get out and you shake people's hand and you meet them and you find out what they're doing, and there's just I think so. It's not a high cost for going down to something like that.
I'm worried about all the time. I'll make a point of trying to be there.
Now, you can bring your spouse, but you have to pay for that.
Yes, right.
'Cause I do that occasionally.
I think I attended one at the Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Sounds good. I'll get that date again from you, Ken, after we get out here.
Okay.
It's October the
October 16th.
16th. I'll be in Ontario.
16th. I think I have something that day, but we'll see.
Right.
Okay, never were. Anyway, water conservation?
Water conservation.
Okay, we had a meeting, and I don't have the minutes, and I always have the minutes, but we had 2 primary items of business. George and the Dales were not there because of what was happening over in the park. And George, I think you were giving a presentation to some group that evening. And we had the 2 items of business. We've been looking at different equipment for monitoring flows and rates and irrigations. And there was one of them that would have been several $100s, and it was felt by the committee, Jim, and I think he put your input in on it, George, that it most likely would be sitting on the shelf. It was for big people, and we have the little ones that we use on here. So as a committee, we voted to take your guys' recommendation and not acquire, at least this year, see what's happening. We can always do it next year. And here. And then the other thing that we discussed was our demonstration vegetable garden, which we put on hold because of the drought. What we'd like to do for this fall is go in and work up the ground and incorporate some soil amendment, which we'll be working with Ward on that, being a certified composter and all of the other stuff on here. And Alves at this particular point, and put a cover crop on it, a plow down winter cover crop. We'll most likely be able to get the compost for free or very little. And Director Kellogg is going to be furnishing the seed for this, and it will take no water. It'll just depend on the rain like we did before. And I think myself, it'll really make that little corner look good. And this is exactly what I'm going to be doing on my property because I followed a whole bunch of it. So that's basically what we'd like to do. This is complete. Ward, do you have any comment you want to make?
You covered it.
Always? Good. Yeah, okay, good.
How about SEP?
I'm good.
Yeah, I was getting ready.
That covered it.
Okay. Administration and Personnel Committee.
Well, I'll make this real quick because we've had so much discussion about it already. We've disposed of those items. One was tabled, one was voted on and passed. But the committee did meet, and we have, which will be then, I guess, bringing into the next meeting is old business, item E above, which is chapters 5 through 8. Once again, our intent here is to get through the entire, with Josh, the work study guy from Chico State, to get through the policy and procedures manual and clean it up, get rid of inconsistencies, identify them, fix them, change the language, recommend certain pieces be dropped, certain pieces be changed in wording. And we have that ready to go for chapters 5 through 8. And I would imagine that sometime in October, early October, we'll probably be meeting again for the remaining chapters. 9 and 12 is taken care of already. So, what do we have left? Just 9 through 11, or is there a 13 and 14?
There's 15 or 16, but I think the only new ones we have to deal with are 9 through 11. Because 13, we've done 13. Yeah.
We hit some of the uppers already. Yeah.
Okay. So, that's it.
Okay, the next one is mine, Paradise Lake Recreation. I missed the meeting before. I was in the hospital, but this one I got here a little bit tardy. George thankfully called and reminded me. And anyway, so I missed the first part, but they did save the good one for me, the
dog?
The dog one. The dog and pony show. And that was interesting. They did, while we were talking about it, they said that somebody is bringing a horse onto the lake and not cleaning up after themselves. And that's a big job. And
well, gosh, if somebody cleaned it up, you could put it in our garden.
In your garden, huh? Right. Well, would you like to volunteer?
You betcha. Bring the horses on.
No, you go up there and get it. And Greg would love you to get the otter stuff too.
You're not going to do that.
No, okay. Let's see. We before I got there, something about you talked to them about the committee policy regarding the committee recommendations.
Yeah, I explained to them about the new rule passed last month, and that committee recommendations come from the board members, but the whole committee votes, and that vote will be reported to the full board as well.
Right. Okay, and then I missed the boating thing too. On the grant, the state grant.
Yeah, we're still in the mix. We made the governor's budget, and they're doing quarterly meetings for the commission, and it looks like our opportunities will come up in May for the commission to consider our project. So it's moving forward in a positive manner.
Okay. Let's see, what else was there? We talked quite a bit about what do you call you guys? You're not PRs, you're community relations. And they also Greg is putting up signs about no dogs up there, and people are still not. They're walking right by him and not seeing them.
Larry?
Yes.
Remember the cemetery board, we put up signs and they tore them down, then they had to put them up 10 feet in the air so they couldn't tear them down. Couldn't tear them down.
Yeah,
And,
it's a problem.
It's
the dog thing which we took care of earlier. I think it would have opened a big can of worms, and that's why I was against it. Let's see, what else is there? The update on the kayak. Well, that's the one you were working on before.
Yeah. So where are we on the kayaks?
He was absent.
Well, last I heard or I read somewhere that they were talking about.
The Dales are taking that over.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We're in touch with Chico State right now.
That's where I saw it was on your report. In touch with them because they'll do a kayak rental. Thursday through Monday or Friday through Monday?
So you get it for the whole weekend, and even if you only go one day, then you have time to return it. And
right now, we're kind of exploring how we can mutually promote the program. I mean, PID benefits because there's a ready resource there where people can rent kayaks and use them on the lake, and Chico State benefits because there's a source of new customers.
new revenue stream, yeah.
Use their equipment. So we're just looking at a way to kind of share the expense of promoting that.
A lot of people I've heard, were worried that we didn't have any water up there for kayaking, but how far down is it now?
26 feet, I think.
Feet. Okay, and Doug, you wanted to make some comments?
I was going to make a comment on the kayaking. Craig mentioned at the meeting that there's a lot of kayaking going on in that particular lake, in fact, more than fishing, particularly with the low water level. And again, I was on campus down at Butte. This guy flagged me down, that's a groundsman, and he wanted to let me know that him and his family go up there, they have a pass, and they kayak almost every weekend. And the reason I mention it because one of the ladies here that was present said the water was murky, this kind, and he made a point of telling me how crystal clear that lake is. And I haven't looked at it, but when she was saying that, I didn't want to. But he made a point. I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Oh, it's beautiful." And I want to go take a look at it myself to see if it is. But anyway, so it's really apparently turning into a kayak lake.
Yeah, it is.
And that's great.
Right, and then on the envelopes, they're going. Our community relations are going to replace the logo with a.
Picture of an otter?
No, with the district's mission statement and include a list of restrictions to better inform the public. And I guess the envelopes have already been ordered, right?
They've been delivered.
Oh, they've been delivered?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll update them next time.
Okay. And can you think of anything else, Doug? Seems like we did a lot of things there.
We're really fortunate, of course, I'm cockeyed optimist, as you figured out. We're really fortunate to have an individual like Craig up there working on that. There's a labor of love with that guy. And our customers up there, or users, including this guy in the kayak that I was mentioning about, love the guy. Even if he chews on him for doing something wrong, And so it's really great. We're very fortunate to have him. He's been there 30 years? What?
Just about, yeah.
It's been that long? Yeah. Also, Paradise Charter Middle School is going to assist us in the fundraiser for Kids Fishing Day. Right. And
I think that's, the PCMS is going to take on the principal approach to Roland, or Roland approach him about them taking on a community service project where they want to help the community, obviously, and they're going to be recycling cans and CRVs, and the funds will benefit the Kids Fishing Day purchase of fish.
right, okay. Yeah. And that's basically it for that one. Okay, that was the last one. Okay, General Manager's report.
Okay, you have my written report. I've been spending time, obviously, on negotiations, hammering out the AECom contract. We did have thanks to some connections through Dustin, I was able to join NACWA on a conference call. They were meeting with the State Water Board about curtailments and how they're going to head in the fall. Although they didn't make any commitments, it seemed to be moving in a positive manner, and we at least got them to agree that if we have a storm event, we don't need to release it immediately, and we've got enough time to call them and confer with them, and hopefully we'll be able to keep that water. But no promises at this point, but it seemed positive. I did speak for a brief few minutes at Party in the Park, and the Dales had our PID booth there. They did a great job. It was a good evening, not well as attended as some we've been to, but it went well. I think it was a good, positive event. All my purpose of my speak there was to just thank Paradise for their efforts at conservation. You can see the results of my report. They really have stepped up to the plate well, to the point that we are now, if you didn't notice, our level is higher than it was in 2008 at this time of year.
Wow.
So,
Is that a drought year?
Oh.
Yeah, big one. Wasn't it?
Also at
it
the,
was a really dry spring.
right. I just remembered too, they gave us a report on that park thing at the Lake Committee too, didn't you? Wasn't one of you gone or something at the time? Or what meeting was that?
No, that was the early.
Oh, an
they gave
early.
a report.
Oh, okay.
They weren't at our lake meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, they weren't?
They were at the park.
Oh, okay.
Tour is tomorrow. Again, I can't thank staff enough. Georgianne, Christy, Keith, the cooks, they put a lot of effort in tomorrow's tour event, and I really, really appreciate it. So we kick off at 8:30 in the morning. Talk starts at 9. We're going to go have my normal presentation, or not normal, tweak it a little every year. And then we're going to tour the new facilities, and then head up to the treatment plant for a tour, and then to the lake. There's a 50% chance of rain tomorrow, so Keith scrambled around, and we've got tarps that are tied up from the trees to cover the area. We're not going to complain about rain. I can report that the 50 whatever people that are on the bus, they're all brand new. Our system is working.
Good.
Half of them, I think, were on the waiting list last year, at least a good percentage. So it should be a very good day tomorrow. You saw my report, and it was kind of related to one of the agenda items, but I'm going to take my manager's report opportunity to kind of highlight the roles of a general manager versus a board. And I'm going to use the chairs as an example. These are all new chairs in the conference room. A board member might come in and say, "We got all new chairs. How much did that cost?" Well, the general manager goes in there, sits in a chair, and it's falling apart, and then he looks at the other one, and it's kind of falling apart, and he goes, "Well, we need chairs because one accident or injury will probably pay for 1,000 chairs. If we get them all done at once, we make 1 or 2 trips down to pick the chairs up. We have to put them together, putting them in an assembly line, so he doesn't have to read the instructions each time we go get a chair. We have all new chairs that are good for 5, 6, 7 years. We found those ones were all $40 a piece off, so I think they were $80 a piece. So we got a good bargain. Got hopefully a safety issue in an efficient manner. So
that's just the kind of report that I would like you to give, George, to the board. That's great. Thank you.
But see, it's on the check register too.
Well, I didn't care about that. I just wanted to know where the new chairs came and why, and that's it.
When are you going to teach us how to use it? I can't figure it out.
Use them?
So many things.
This bothers me.
Do we need to have a training session?
Training session on the new chairs.
Everyone adjusts except for legal counsel.
We don't.
No, straight back.
I told George to put a tack in it, and then that would be your raise for this year.
Are you through, George?
I'm through.
The only reason I asked that is because I didn't bring that with me, but I carried papers around all the time, you know. The ER had water savings, and of course we were highlighted as the top one. And so it's really, as you mentioned more than once, George, a real feather in Paradise people's hat. Because, you know, God, there's some of those areas that are 1% or 2%, you know, and that's horrible. And I hope that there's no water, like sometimes I've watched it, running down the street in Southern California. If they do, I would hope that old Jerry, $500, you know, even if they can't pay it, sock it to him.
Well, I had a story about, Barber told me, he says, that the police department up here was having trouble with people complaining about their neighbors' water use, where they're overusing, the water was running and so forth. And said that they were having to send them over to PID, go over to PID and talk about this problem. And they were complaining because they had so many phone calls to the police department, dispatcher and all that. And I thought that was amazing. I hadn't heard anything like that. But they're really doing an outstanding job. Most people tell me how they're conserving water.
Right. Well, I think the meters are what are saving us so far. Those automated meters. That's what I told somebody today, that we have more water today than we did in 2008. And they said, "How come?" And I said, "Well, because people are conserving, and then we're catching leaks faster, and that's a big plus. That's a good thing for the customers. Unfortunately, it's a two-edged sword. When they conserve, our revenues go down. but if we run out of water, we're not going to have any revenue."
Kevin, do you think your estimate, I remember one time you estimated that we'll be down about 200,000?
That's what we were down last year.
Yeah.
But
I mean, this year.
I adjusted those estimates to show that in the current budget for that same type of consumption for going forward. So that was last year versus budget. This year we should be pretty close based on the conservation that was already done in past patterns.
The cash coming in will be $200,000 less.
Correct. That was last year. Yes. So we had $200,000 less cash in the budget last year.
Were you able to put those pictures into your presentation that I emailed you?
The Oroville? No, it was too big. My finger was getting too long.
I got these pictures, and it shows 3 different places when the water was full and now, and it is scary to see.
If you want to, I got a National Geographic yesterday, and the center of the magazine is all about California's water, and showing all the major uses, maps, everything else. It's a really beautiful presentation. I don't know if any of you subscribe to it or not, but they sell it on newsstands now, and the center is really an excellent article on water.
Any other questions of the manager?
Since Keith's gone and there's the engineering report, can I ask some questions concerned with the engineering report?
Well, that's coming up.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll cover it then.
Right. Okay, legal report.
I have some items in closed session, but kind of tagging onto the discussion. Boy, I am just keeping busy. I'm really proud of our community in this district for the savings. It's really amazing. If kind of what the concern is now is, what if we have another dry year?
Boy.
And you start looking at the projections. Even if we have an average year, Orville and Shasta are going to be just horrible condition, a real health and safety problem. Whereas, just anecdotally, I think if we have a dry year here, we're going to have some cuts likely, but we'll be able to survive it pretty good. And that's due in large part to the conservation that's happened this year. So I think it's a really good thing that the community's done, and kudos to the district, because others are not as blessed.
I was watching a guy yesterday fill up water jugs at the Food for Less. It's filtered, but I was wondering how they can't control that, can they? But of course they're paying for it.
What are you going to control?
Well, I mean,
they're paying for it.
What I'm saying is, what if they were using too much water?
Well, it's drinking water.
Yeah, but
I don't think they could afford it. They'd run out of money before they caused a supply problem.
Oh, okay.
It's quite a premium.
Yeah.
Right.
And that stuff is just tap.
I know, it's just tap water.
You can see the one at Safeway, I think, it comes right out of the
The hose comes
right into it.
But it's our water. It's our water. That's why I was wondering, what would we do if they started using too much at Safeway?
nothing now. We don't have a mandatory, there's nothing that's wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, then, okay.
As long as they pay for it.
Okay. Right. Okay, any questions of the lawyer? Okay, we'll go on to staff and billing reports.
This report on the normal engineering report and all that's usually, it's not on the agenda, is it?
Which one?
What page?
Neil's report's in there. It's
Yeah, but I mean,
It's in what we're right now doing.
is it staff and, is that what we're going to do now?
Yeah,
Staff.
reports.
Oh, okay.
Staff reports,
All right. It's getting late.
right.
Did you have a question?
Did you have questions?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had questions and comment. Page 182, it's the PID Lake Permit Comparison Form 2004 to 14. We're actually ahead of last year on the use, the money income to the lake at this time last year, just barely, but a little bit, if I read this bar chart. So we're still having high use of the lake, and which is impressive to me.
Yeah, it's getting closer though.
Pardon?
I think a lot of that is.
It was further ahead, yeah.
And then I have a comment on page 183. It has down here, staff continued work on Cal Water drought supply, conceptual project, and water rights curtailment. I didn't know we were going ahead with that, but I can't say much about it because what we do have has been in closed session.
No, I have spoken in open session that one of our drought options that we're exploring is an intertie with Cal Water Chico.
Is what?
With an intertie pipeline with Cal Water Chico. So that's not a secret item. The cost of that and the dollars are surrounding it were in closed session. So Neil's been doing some work on that for me. It's certainly not a dead issue.
Okay,
It is transparent that we are working on it.
Closed session, but that's why I'd like to have these water projects brought to public, at least for the public knows what we're talking about. On page 184, where a loss of water is going back up a little bit. When I had a water break on the cemetery's property where I've had cattle grazing there, and the guys came out and did a great job servicing and fixing the leak, but they also told me that they'd been just fixing leak after leak on this. It's almost, 50-year-old pipe, some of it. It's got the wrap around it, and the steel pipe with the wrap, and that's why I keep talking about we need to replace more pipe in the district, because basically our infrastructure on pipe is falling apart.
I would want to clarify that a little bit. If you look at that chart, the red numbers is the volume that we calculated of lost water. So it is increasing, but it's a little flatter. The percentage is increased because our demand has decreased because of conservation.
Yeah, percentages are misleading.
Okay. And Doug asked Kevin about this earlier. On page 186, it shows us how much we're losing on income because of the low water consumption. And I got some notes here. It looks like we're over 110,000 so far, at least on this report, of income below last year for water sales. And that's why I keep asking about all these different small expenses add up after a while, and that we should be doing something on watching some of these costs, how we're spending money. And I think that's it for me.
Okay, you have anything, Doug? Ken?
No, I do not.
Okay. Sep?
I'd make a motion to accept the staff and billing reports as presented.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? Anybody from the public? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. We already had our recess. Treasurer's report.
Yeah, I read the memo. District's cash is about $4.1 million. It's about average, about where we are. We have made significant debt payments in the last month, one being a annual payment to U.S. Bank for the 2009 COPs that were for the replacement, and then we also have paid off that portion of debt that was for the state one that we had 2 years left, and we decided to the board meeting state interested also. So we had a trying to get a letter from them to subordinate to a new loan. I also did attend a class September 11th and 12th down at Sacramento. Class was put on by the Government Finance Officers Association, and the cost was $1,385. And the class was on the essentials of debt financing and management. That was very kind of a good topic, being that we are going to be going into more.
That was the ACWA? Or, no.
GFOA.
GFOA, yeah.
Government Finance Officers Association. One of the things that the SEC has come out with is an electronic reporting for ongoing debt, and they're really cracking down not only on issuers of debt but underwriters of debt to make sure that they are in compliance with their disclosure requirements. And so they're going back and looking at, I think it's 7 years of disclosures to make sure that everybody's in compliance that has issued debt. And if they're not, they haven't come up with a penalty, but they're threatening penalties. And sometimes the SEC is not very friendly when it does actually issue those penalties. The other thing too is that they've come up with a separation of duties between an underwriter and an investment advisor. So how Brandy's and Talman was our investment advisor, but they were also our underwriters of our debt. So they come in, they walk you through the debt issuance, they get you set with all of the disclosures, with the official statements, and then they basically almost purchase your debt for you, and then they sell it off to the market. And now there's actually a separation of duties, so you can't have two in the same. You actually have to have one here and one here. But what they talked about was called the competitive bid process. So what you can actually do is hire an investment advisor. They can basically bring you to market, and you as the issuer can then competitively bid it to all these underwriters, and you just basically take the lowest interest that they're willing to offer you, and then you just sell it to that underwriter. So that's probably what we'll probably do in the future. But again, then you're talking now two expenses for issuance of debt. So debt now may be a little more expensive to issue, but I understand why they did it. And then they talked about a lot of what they do is best practices. And it's about what districts or government should be doing to make sure that they are working in the best practice of what they, as their experts, say is the best way. And so one of them is a debt policy, which I have talked about in the past, and I will be bringing a debt policy to the board. But under the new criteria is actually a disclosure practice, but one of the disclosure practices is provide training for staff who are involved in disclosures, including periodic refreshers for old and new staff. So again, it's education. And failure to have procedures or training may be viewed as, per se, negligent behavior. So that's something where the SEC comes back and goes, you didn't do your disclosures right, and you didn't train your people. Again, you're showing that the district is negligent of actually having competent people to have these debt issuance out there. So I think it was a very productive class, very good information. I also met with one of our engineers over at the the Department of Water Resources that's handling our finishing up our grant for that Prop 50 money, which we were kind of concerned that if we didn't get our money out of them strictly, it might be transferred to another department. And it was a very productive meeting again. We got our final report completed on that. It's kind of stamped, and we got our final invoices in, and they sent them off to accounting, so we should be getting our final grant funds
Great.
hoping, but it was a very productive meeting with her, and just to kind of get a face-to-face with somebody, I think goes a long ways over there. So, also, last board meeting, Director Kellogg requested a capacity fees expenses detail.
Did you say George Kellogg?
No, Director Kellogg.
Oh, Director Kellogg, I'm sorry. I thought, I know my hearing's a little bad. My wife keeps after me for it. But anyway.
But in the last couple of years, we've spent about $500,000 out of those capacity fees for select projects. And so I just wanted to kind of give everybody an idea of what that accounting looks like.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Yep. So that's why when you saw our capacity fees were at
Going down.
1.8 million, now they're at 4 million. That's where those capacity fees are.
Are you a CPA?
I am a CPA.
I thought you were.
Yes.
Did you hear where they're suing the IRS?
What society is?
For the
AICPA?
Yeah,
No.
because of the charging a fee for those numbers that we have to put on the tax return? Yeah.
No.
Do you know what they do with that? They charge $40-some, and they pay a foreign company $25 a person, and then to do it, a foreign company, and then they pocket the rest.
They're about as crooked as a dog's right leg is what they are.
I'm not
Right. Speaking of training, is there anything that the board's going to be required to do coming up? You know, like the ethics and.
Yes. Due again, January, I think it's something.
January.
Sexual
That'll be
Training, yeah. We're required to have certain training. Sexual harassment and ethics.
Prevention.
I've been through those before.
Sexual harassment prevention.
Prevention training.
Now, will they come here, or do we have to go?
You can do it online.
Here before.
You can do it online, and you can have it here.
My firm's done it for you in the past.
What was that motor vehicle one we had? Defensive driving, yeah.
That was optional for us.
I have a quick question for Kevin.
Because not everybody.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to present with.
Under the cash position number 1, item number 2, where you said we got 1.538 mil in capacity fees. Now we've committed $1 million of that, haven't we?
In the budget, yes.
$1 million of that is for this engineering report.
That's correct. That's how we get budget.
So we'll actually have $500,000 left over.
Well, but we might get it back when we sell the bonds.
Yeah, so we're leaving that open, that if we're getting such a bang for our buck on this financing, then we'll leave it up to the board to maybe not use those funds.
Even though we sell the bonds, that's still borrowed money.
We're not selling bonds. We're getting a state revolving fund loan from the state.
Okay, he was saying we would sell
Sold
bonds.
bonds. They've sold the bonds. We're just getting a pool from that. So.
But that's still borrowed money.
Oh yeah, that's borrowed money.
Whereas the capacity fees are not. It's money that has been stacked up for a while.
That's reserves.
Yeah, it's a reserve, right?
Yeah, but that's deficit spending.
Yeah, when you get into that reserve, you get
$1 million worth. Because if you want to go buy some more stuff with capacity fees, we're not going to have it.
Let's stay on, guys. It's getting late. Let's stay on target here.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions of Kevin?
Kevin, you were going to, maybe it's time to get a little, you were going to have a meeting, workshop type meeting with the board, to talk about some things, a couple, 3 sessions, there was 9 areas there. Yeah.
We're working on it.
I really think that would be a very beneficial thing for us to do.
Josh is working on long-term capital kind of template for me.
Yeah, but you were going to have a workshop that would involve the board.
When he's got it, we'll talk about it then.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
I move we accept the treasurer's memo for the period ending August 31st, 2014.
Second.
Been seconded. Any further discussion? Anybody out there? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, next is the approval of the August checks. On this one, what did you get a new program or something? Is that why this has a different format?
It's hard to read.
It's hard to read.
You've given us landscape
text.
in a portrait setting.
You turn your iPad sideways.
I know, but I don't want to do
They
that.
updated this report to add additional columns, and I don't know why they do this, but you can't get rid of those men columns. So it's spread it out even.
Yeah, it's rather than going up.
Update that they did.
Right. Also, too, I noticed you didn't.
I thought Tyler, sorry.
I noticed you didn't put down the extraordinary expenditures.
Oh, list them out.
Right. They've all been dropped. And of course, the big one
That additional 500.
was the payoff of the loan. Yeah.
It's that U.S. Bank, because then next month you'll see that it goes down.
Right. Because it went way up. Yeah, I had a question mark on that.
I apologize, I didn't put that in there.
Okay, Bill.
What?
Any questions on the checks?
I was just-
Are you George tonight?
No, I'm not George tonight. I don't think George wants to be Bill either.
Okay. Are you that unexpected Bill?
Yeah, I'm that unexpected Bill.
Okay.
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I have had long days and I didn't look at this very well.
Okay.
Just, why don't you come back to me, Larry? Give me a few
Doug?
minutes.
None?
I would, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. Ken?
I'll ask a question in regard to page 204 of the iPad. The vendor is National Meters and Automaton. 12 meters cost $1,200. The one plastic 1-inch body, is that what that said?
204.
What's a? We're getting plastic meters now.
We've always gotten plastic residential meters.
We do.
And they cost that
Oh,
much?
the actual meter.
They were all brass.
Nope.
They cost over $1,000?
Cost a
Those are 1-inch
Yeah.
meters.
I mean, $100.
$100.
They cost over $100.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've had we have a need for that because there's, with the new town and state fire code, people need 1-inch meters for their fire system.
For new houses.
Yes.
Okay.
You need a larger meter to feed the fire system.
And of course, what do we charge the customer for the meter?
Cost.
Just cost?
Plus whatever.
Okay. So we're going to get it back. Okay. Ken, more?
On page 207, the Sierra Heating and Air Conditioning. You know, there's a lot of talk we give about having our budgets set. You know, we set those budgets 14, 15 months, 12 months in advance. And we don't always know when an air conditioning condenser unit is going to go out and cost us $13,000 to repair it. So I was just wondering, you know, we talk about we're not going to be spending above what's budgeted for items, but sometimes we're going to have to. So under what process do we do that?
Well, that's why we prefer the policy the way it is and have the budget as a planning tool, not an approval cap tool.
Right. But
And this item came to the board.
So, but if that would have pushed us, let's say it came to the board in June when we're still on the old budget, we needed to get it, we're going to have to get it. How do we reconcile that with our statements about not spending more money than what is budgeted?
A lot of times what it is, there's quite a bit of money in a lot of these miscellaneous expense or supplies or something.
Repairs.
Oh, sometimes it's
general
there to
maintenance.
cover it, sure.
But if it's over it and it's way over it, then I would come to the board for a budget.
And we just recognize that we're going to exceed the budget and amend it or whatever it is and do this expense. Okay, I mean, I thought that was our reasonable way to go.
If he buys that computer for $80,000,
yeah,
and then he wants to buy some adding machine tape, he's got to come to the board for approval.
And we might tell him no.
They'll just go buy it.
I saw earlier on a page up here, and I'm not going to bring up the specific item, but it was $2,600 in testing water samples or something of that nature. I assume it was probably just our normal stuff that we have to do, but I was wondering if you ever calculated up the bill for testing for the aluminum and the whatnot coming out of the those special tests that we did at the requested bill.
It was $465 and about 4 hours of effort.
Okay, so not a real significant.
And how much is when we quit having to do that because of the recycle thing, how much is that a year?
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's a big figure though, isn't
It's
it?
a pretty, there's a lot of samples.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Sep?
I had all my questions answered already.
Okay, back to you, Doug. Okay, I had one and Ken got it. So I have none. I'd entertain
I'll make a motion to consider
Surprised you
approval
didn't.
of,
I had some.
No, I have something now. Yeah.
consider approval of general fund
Not
check
consider.
numbers.
Bill has it.
Oh, you
Make
have
a motion
No.
for approval of general fund
Said
check
come back to
numbers
me.
46738 through 46851 for the month of August 2014, total $826,124.72, exclusive of void check numbers 46837, 46838, and authorize a similar amount allowing or adjusting for extraordinary budget or board approved items during the month of September.
I'll second.
Okay, and you said you had something.
Yeah,
further
it
discussion?
turns out there's summaries. It's on page 210, iPad. The first one is interest expense. I assume that's just for this month? Yep. And it's $112,946.88. And then there's a one down below. It says 2011 refinance, $400,000.
Yep.
So,
It's paying off the 2011 refinance that we did with the 2009 bonds, or the 2001.
but the bonds are paid now?
That's it. It's done.
That's the end of that debt. And $129,000 is what we pay out a month or for interest.
Not a month.
No, I mean, that's not a on average month. I'll tell you what that was. That was for, actually that's a miscode, that 2011 refinance. It should say 2009 COPs is what that's for, but that's for the meter project.
Okay.
That 2011 refinance is done. So that's for those bonds that were issued. They still have 10 years left on the bonds, and that is the interest expense on those 10-year bonds.
Per month?
But yeah,
For the year.
Oh, for the year, okay. Okay.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. You have something?
I have one more question. We've been paying off several, like 400,000 you're talking about and stuff. So you have down here on item number 2, the district's total outstanding debt is 10.2 mil. So we still owe $10 million. And, okay. So no matter we've been paying some of those off, and I've been keeping track of it, out here we still owe $10.2 million.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded? Yes.
Just one side comment here about what came up previously and what you just showed. $295 expenses for NRWS, Waste Services, right? Probably in a year's time, George is going to come back with ideas from SMA, and you'll spend half of that money for garbage. But that's just part of how that whole system of what she teaches through SMA for us to absorb here and see where even some of these other items. The webinars I participated in, the company's comments and feedback usually is, yes, we met new environmental regulations. Yes, we improved employee safety. Yes, we spent a lot of money to do some of these things, but ultimately we made more profit. Now, we're not in a business making profit here, but the concepts that you learn through SMA get us to the point where it's not just cutting a $300 garbage bill to $150. It's almost every line item where, oh gosh, we're a little more conscientious about this. How'd that happen? Well, we needed 12 nuts and we didn't buy 14. We bought 12.
I want to, how does our garbage thing go? Do we pay a flat fee or do we pay by how much garbage we have?
Flat fee.
Yeah, see, I think in Paradise you can't lower your garbage bill by having less trash. Because I know they make me.
You can get a smaller can.
You can by getting a smaller can.
Right, but if you're using a smaller can already, you can't
Then
reduce it
you're-
any
you're down
further.
as far as you're
Because they're making me do one. I have 2 homes in Paradise, and they make me, even though I take the garbage over to the other place, I have to pay for 2 places.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, it's a
Or you
town
could
law.
cancel the service completely at that one home.
Did we vote on the motion?
Yes, we did.
We did?
We just haven't said, we haven't voted yet.
I was gonna say we didn't,
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
You're still awake.
I have one last thing.
I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is
Did I cover Zenner with you guys?
Zenner?
Yeah. Okay. We met with Zenner, which Zenner is the company that bought Datamatic out of bankruptcy. And Zenner is a national corporation, international corporation that does these water meters, same type of thing as Datamatic. We met with one of their vice presidents and their regional sales manager. They assured us that their product is going to be and already is compatible with Datamatic. We ordered 10 of the Zenner products to give them a test in the district to see if they're working. I believe that they are working. We're still kind of waiting for the feedback.
Oh, they're already in the field?
Yeah. And we also have, they said that their signal strength is actually 2 times as much as Datamatic's signal strength. They basically said that we have a very good system. It's just that the product itself failed. And so their product is identical to what Datamatic's product will do, and it actually can work a little more efficient than the Datamatic product. And they're giving us all replacement parts at cost to them for any Datamatic firefight that goes out. We can get their product for cost.
Nice. But they're gonna take that, are they taking the other piece back?
No, it's junk.
Okay. Still junk. I
But
thought.
they're giving every new, I believe they call it a reader or something. They have a different name for it, but every product that they give us, they warranty the battery for 20 years. 10 is full, and then the next 10 is progressive.
Prorated.
And if you do have to change the battery, you don't have to take the whole thing out. You can actually just slide the batteries out in the thing and put the batteries back in, and it slides right in.
Oh, better design.
Gee, that would have been, a replaceable battery.
There's no outside parties that deal with the product. It's all internal. So they do the software, they do the hardware, they do everything. So it's
Great.
It seems like a little
What's it cost for each unit? What's it cost for each unit?
$55 for every unit that we buy from them for a replacement.
That's
We bought
cheaper
those
than
up.
the Datamax, isn't it?
Yes.
Datamatic, we were paying 125.
120?
It's
How-
80 for new ones, right?
It's 80 for new ones, but they're giving us new ones for 55.
How many meters have been failing of the Datamax?
We've been averaging one a day. Is that what it's?
We were, but that cut way back because we still have some inventory of what Kevin bought. So it slowed back down again for whatever reason.
It was the ones from China that were failing.
Malaysia.
Or middle
And what the Zenner guy said was that the product was good, but they went offshore to save costs, which it hurt them. But they said even if you were to replace the battery in there, they think it might be a hardware issue, that there might be a circuit connection that's draining the battery. So it might, if you replace the battery, it still might not even help you keep the life of that firefly going. So
That was gonna be my question. Do they have a way to break into these things?
they do, but it takes like a clean environment, and it takes
By the time you spent labor and everything else, $55.
Is that bankruptcy thing settled yet?
It's been bought out. They
But-
bought the company out of bankruptcy.
Are but we lost our warranty though? And we don't have any
We lost our Firefly warranty.
right.
The gateway and the the main collectors, they were warranted through the annual service contract, and so now those the new companies covering those with the new service contract.
Did Chevron do anything?
No, I was working them for a while, and then they poofed and disappeared because Chevron Energy Solutions was being sold off by Chevron to another company. So they were trying to get us to whatever the.
Agree to the assignment.
Yeah, agree to the assignment. So we gave them some parameters that would help us convince you guys to agree to the assignment, and then I haven't heard from them again.
They disappeared?
Well, they just haven't talked to me, so
Oh.
the transitions happen, and our agreement must still be sitting with Chevron.
Well, you know, it's funny, we saved a lot of money by going with them early. Because they didn't make money on us,
No,
did
they
they?
did not make money on this.
Yeah. Okay, director's comments. Bill?
I think I said enough tonight.
Okay. Doug, you've said too much.
I've said quite a bit.
No. Do you have it?
But anyway, I think Kellogg was emailing stuff around. I think there is a meeting in Sacramento on paying the water infrastructure put on by the State Water Resources Control Board. Yeah, is anybody going to go to that or what? It looked like I have the agenda. It looks like it would be pretty informative.
When was that one?
When is it?
October 16th. Are you
It's
aware of it?
ACWA. I just
I thought
emailed it to you. I didn't send anybody else.
Oh, I thought you emailed it all over.
Oh.
I haven't committed yet.
It's too late to get it approved. Okay, anything else? Okay.
Well, can we take a look? I was thinking of trying to figure out how to go to this, but anyway.
Okay, we'll talk to you.
No comments.
No comments? Seth?
No comment.
I don't know if it's proper or not, but I'd like to thank the public that they have enough confidence in us that nobody ran against us in the election. I think that shows that we're doing our job good. I think. That's the way I'm going to look at it. Okay, real property negotiations. Does anyone wish to speak to that before we go into closed session? Get more water? Get it. Get it. Oh, yeah, we're working on water rights. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go into closed session for real property negotiations and conference with legal counsel on two other issues. Labor negotiations is gone, right? We did that earlier.
Correct.
Right. Okay. We thank you. We'll be coming back out if we have any action.
Maybe tomorrow morning.
Maybe tomorrow morning.